Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
Hello, how are we doing here on a Friday? Thanks to Tommy Wirtz for filling in for me yesterday as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Got a sick kid at home, so I stayed home today. She stayed home. I stayed home yesterday. She stayed home today. Those are the fun things you get to have, Charlie. Once you get to that point, and you have family nowhere near you, living near you to babysit and take care of children. Then you each have to figure out days of who's going to watch, who's going to stay home, and that fun stuff.
I'm so thrilled to be having that at one point in my life. The way you and Mitch talk about your kids all the time.
But I've got good news for you. Let me tell you the good news.
All right, let's
The good news is by the time you have kids, I'll probably be retired, and then I can just watch them.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And then I'll take care of them.
I'm taking you up on that. I hope you know.
Whatever.
I mean, my parents live 20 minutes away too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I'm just saying, I'll be around. By that time, I'll be retired, and I can help you or Tommy out with your children that you have. Okay, so coming up on today's show, gonna be fun. I'm looking forward to today's show. Brandon Scoop B Robinson, NBA reporter, scoopb.com. Of course, you follow him on social media. He had a one-on-one interview with Miles Turner of the Milwaukee Bucks that I found intriguing. We will talk to him coming up in about 40 minutes from right now. Jim Callis, senior writer, MLB Pipeline. He is kind of like the Mel Kiper, I guess, except that is, I can't say that word on the air. A nicer version and more likable version of Mel Kiper to minor league baseball. This has been his deal forever and a day. I love me some Jim Callis. I love Sam Dykstra too, but Callis has been around a while. So we're going to talk Jim Callis coming up at 3:20, get his thoughts on these two prospects the Brewers got back in this deal for Freddie Peralta from the New York Mets. Looking forward to that. And then Chris Emma, Bears reporter for 670 The Score. He's going to join us coming up at 4 o'clock. I want more intel on Al Harris, the former Packers cornerback. I mean, I get y'all love Al Harris. Cool. I got no problem with Al Harris. I think Al Harris is fine. But I want to know about Al Harris, the coach. I know Al Harris, the player. I don't know about Al Harris, the coach. When Al Harris was in Dallas, every time we did interviews with Cowboys people, we never asked, so how's our buddy Al Harris doing as coach? Like, it never came up. Nobody cared. Now that he interviewed for the Packers job, now we kind of got to try and figure this out. Like, is he really ready to go do this job one way or the other, right? So we'll get the inside scoop from Chris Emma coming up at 4 o'clock. Then it's Plead the Fifth. Fridays brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. And in order to get involved on this, all you have to do is either call in that segment at about 4:20, or you can text in who you want to plead the fifth, meaning who do you just want to be quiet, right? Just shh. Just make yourself look bad, right? Just shh, don't do that. If you have ideas, either call in, tell Charlie, or text in and let us know, and Charlie will try and go find that sound that you're referring to. Nicolay Law Talk and text line always available as well. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio, X, and on YouTube as we stream live. Yesterday, remember, we had that guy message in. He's like, hey, you lose the whole state every time you talk about the Bucks. I understand, but there's going to be 2 Bucks topics in this show. Actually, 3 Bucks topics in this show, because one of the things that we're going to talk about during Plead the Fifth is going to be at 4:20 is going to involve some idiot talking about the Bucks. And that's how I will refer to him during the segment as well. Idiot. But before we get to that, let's hear from somebody that I actually like, somebody that I said deserves an award of some sort. And that is Sam Amick, who writes for The Athletic, had the long interview with Giannis, where Giannis is like, hey, man, I want to stay, right? I'm never going to ask for a trade. It's just never going to happen. That's not who I am. I'm loyal. I'm under contract. I'm not asking for a trade. Beautiful. Wonderful. Now, they've not been great. This is the fun thing that is interesting about all of this, right? So the Bucks record is not good. Fair. the Bucks record with Giannis, they're like a game over 500 right now with Giannis at this point, which tells you if Giannis doesn't get hurt, they're probably 4 or 5 games over 500 at this moment in time had Giannis not gotten hurt. You knew when you built the roster that they did not have superstar players on this roster outside of Giannis. You did not have a secondary scoring option outside next to Giannis, like you had in Lillard, like you had in Middleton. You did not have that guy on this roster. You knew that. And then everybody is surprised when they fall apart without Giannis. Well, that was very predictable before the season started. And if they don't have him in a play-in tournament game or a playoff game, they're going to lose that game too, more than likely. So, with all that being said, Sam Amick was on the Run It Back show. And that, of course, Chandler Parsons and all of those
Michelle
fun people.
Beadles, Lou Williams, and DeMarcus Cousins on this specific episode.
Like, some people probably like Michelle Beadle. I'm okay with her. The rest of them, like DeMarcus Cousins, I'd imagine most don't like listening or watching him or hearing him talk. No. Most people probably get turned off by Chandler Parsons. Yeah. I know I do, right? So Lou Williams is probably the most likable dude of the 3.
And even then, I don't know. Well, some of the things he said.
Well, fine, but I'm just saying, of the 3, okay, I'll listen to Lou. The other 2, you can just turn off their mics. I don't care.
They get good guests, though.
They do.
And their guests give good answers.
Yes. And Sam Amick was on today talking about his conversation with Giannis. Check it out.
Admittedly, it's been a funny experience because we have that discussion and he's deliberate and he's direct and he's got his messaging down and we cleared up some things. And then, man, he's just been on a heater ever since. You know, he gets booed by the fans and then he boos them back. So now you got the negativity is swinging in that direction. You have frustration with this team and he's being pretty vocal about that. He's not getting as many shots as he's used to. And he's being pretty diplomatic about it, but like there's some very real basketball stuff happening right now that's pretty puzzling. I don't blame him for being frustrated. So I don't know. I mean, it does, it feels like, we're getting close to the perfect recipe for maybe everything he said, not happening, if that makes sense, because it's not just the level of angst and discontent with him and the Bucks. At the same time, some of the different teams that could potentially be in the running, their circumstances have changed. I don't necessarily see, for example, a Knicks deal happening, but like when you see the Knicks lose 9 out of 12, then naturally you start going, oh boy, like is James Dolan going to say, all right, forget about this current crew. Let's go for the big fella in Milwaukee. Miami signaling that they're not going to pursue Ja Morant shows you that they still have some level of hope when it comes to Giannis. I mean, and even the Warriors, I mean, that's their white whale is Giannis. That's their dream target. And so we'll see where that one goes.
Do you know what I want to know? I was thinking about this as we were hearing from Sam Amick of The Athletic. I want to know how much money Giannis brings in to the Bucks by himself when it comes to revenue. Because we heard the report about Shohei Ohtani with the Dodgers and the, $30-40 million in revenue, whatever he brings in just based on overseas jersey sales and whatever else that he has. So we saw that report. I'd love to know from a Buck standpoint, like how much revenue is this dude bringing in that you are not going to have once he's not on this basketball team or, when he retires or however this ends? How much money are you going to be out if and when we get to that point that he's not on this roster? And if that number is significant, how much does that play into these other teams wanting him? Not only for on the court reasons, but also for off the court reasons on the amount of money, again, that he brings in. How many people are buying sponsorship inside Fiserv Forum because they want to be affiliated with Giannis? How many of those people exist? How many of those people maybe are buying radio advertising in Bucks broadcasts because of Giannis? And if and when Giannis goes or retires or however this ends, how many of those people will be like, yeah, I'm done advertising with y'all. I'm done. Good luck to you. Hope it all works out. But we're out until y'all get another superstar or somebody that I believe can win a championship. I'm out on this one. Like, I don't think people really think about the financial downfall that is going to occur with this organization if and when this dude is not on this roster. Like, it is going to be significant, Charlie.
It is. I found a website called everythingaboutgiannis.com. as an article from October 8th, 2025, the estimated value of the Milwaukee Bucks in 2013 was about $312 million. The estimated value as of that date today and closer to today is $4.3 billion since Giannis has joined the team. And a lot of things have changed during that time. Yeah. The valuation of just teams in general has grown.
All that stuff.
All this different movement, all that. But none of that happens without Giannis. If we're being completely honest, this city doesn't take the team as seriously. They don't give them Pfizer for them and allow them to have that Deer District if they don't have Giannis a part of that team. He is instrumental in what has been the Bucks' just growth since he joined this team 13 years ago.
It's very similar to Peyton Manning with the Indianapolis Colts. I mean, they say Lucas Oil is the house that Peyton built because of how successful they were, at the RCA Dome back in the day with Peyton and how he turned that organization around. It's very similar, obviously, to what has happened with Giannis. LeBron James, there's another good example of a guy who, when he was in Cleveland, they built up that area all around that arena, right? And did that whole thing. Then he leaves and goes to Miami, and you read the stories of how businesses are shutting down. It's become a ghost town. Nobody goes down in that area anymore outside of games, and the attendance numbers aren't the same, and it killed him. Then what happens? Here comes LeBron riding back in on his white horse, and all of a sudden, new businesses are popping up, and it's thriving again. He rolls away. Now, I have not seen a recent report of the last couple of years of what it looks like in Cleveland around that stadium, but don't you just have the fear of, man, if and when this dude leaves, how badly will that downtown area and that fear of the Deer District really suffer? Now, the good news is they're building that other music venue that'll have actually 2 venues in it, I believe.
I'm going to the opening night of that.
Are you?
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'll probably never get there ever in my life. But
you probably wouldn't like the band I'm seeing.
I just don't go to a lot of concerts. So anyways, that venue is going to bring in people downtown, even though it's a smaller venue compared to, say, Pfizer. But you're still going to have people coming downtown for that, which before it was literally the Bradley Center and it was the Mecca. And, well, now Panther Arena, but that was it. And there really aren't big concerts at Panther Arena, right? The Milwaukee Admirals, they got Low Cash coming in, country duo, which is going to be really cool coming up next month. So you have those post-game concerts, but straight up concerts, they haven't been in that business for a while. So you really are relying on just Pfizer for the top end concerts that are coming through in this area and attracting them. And I think for the most part, they've probably done their job. So now if and when Giannis leaves, and now all of a sudden the Bucks aren't very good anymore, attendance is going to drop for certain. I think you're already seeing it. Go online and see how much tickets are for the next Bucks game. I would be interested on StubHub or something like that. I would imagine tickets for these games are probably getting back down to probably being around $5 or $10, maybe a little bit more than that. It may be different. I think Joker's coming in. So that may be a little bit different with Denver, but
yeah, tonight is Joker and Denver. The cheapest ticket you can get is $11
for Joker
on StubHub. Yep. And that is nosebleeds, but you can see the whole court.
I'm telling you right now, the worst job to have right now is selling season tickets for the Bucks if Giannis is moved. It's over. It's all done. You're all done. Good luck. People are just going to hang up on you.
Maybe I could get season tickets. They're going to have to sell to people that just have never had it before. That's the only way you can sell that experience.
But that's the other thing, right? Very rarely do they drop ticket prices and say, okay, season ticket prices are now this. We're cutting them by 30% because we don't have Giannis anymore to try and bring people in. That normally never, ever happens. They may stay the same. You may not see increases, but more than likely, they're not going to go backwards. So that's my point. So if you're already seeing ticket prices at this low a level of people trying to get rid of tickets, that means there's not a lot of want to go see this team play right now. And then if you were to take Giannis out and you don't have another star player, that puts you in even a bigger predicament at that point.
$69 to sit in section 106. So right center court, first level, that's pretty good.
It's really good
for the fans, I guess.
I mean, back in the day, you'd spend $70 and you'd be in the upper deck for $70.
Yeah, just absolutely insane. And again, I think
I cannot emphasize this enough. I don't care that he's grumpy. If your kid has never seen Giannis play, you got to go now. Trade deadline's February 5th. Do I think they're trading him? No. I'm just saying, Go get your tickets. Who cares if you're in the nosebleeds? Tonight, we said $11. $11, Junior can go watch two Hall of Famers play, and Joker and Giannis tonight. Why wouldn't you spend the $11 a ticket to take your kid to go see the game tonight?
Right. Again, like you said, seeing two legends of the game that may never be in this same stadium ever again together. Like, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. Again, it's just kind of sucks that it's under this cloud, this dark cloud of all these rumors that are still going around about Giannis.
Yes, absolutely right. We had a topic here on the Bucks that we simply did not get to. So we can just hold this over. It's not going anywhere.
Got the Sham stuff if you want to get to that.
It'll still play as well. I really want to get angry with Shams Charania at this point.
Or we could save that for Plead the Fifth if you'd like as well.
Yes. There you go. Yeah. See, you're a smart one. Yeah. That's not the idiot I was talking about that we were going to play. So now we'll have two idiots in Plead the Fifth coming up at 4:20 brought to you by Habish and Rotier. I want to turn it back to the Milwaukee Brewers. Xavier Scruggs and MLB Network had some interesting things to say about this trade involving the Brewers and the Mets. And it feels like there's two different opinions on Freddie Peralta, the former Brewers pitcher. Our opinion and the national opinion. I'll talk about that straight ahead. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Don't forget, when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. Now, am I going to predict a win over the Nuggets? I'm not. But when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. So Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy. See Sparky Pfeiffer, Charlie Usen over there. I was told in a text message, it's my fault. I thought he was back tonight. Joker's still not playing. So then I Googled it, and I didn't think I was crazy. It was right in this area that he was supposed to be back around January 26th. And Sharani had just said a little while ago that he was on schedule. He was doing on-court work and all this other stuff from his hyperextended left knee. But apparently, they're still not there yet on him coming back. So I guess no Joker. I don't care. For $11 to go to see Giannis play, man, you just got to do it. And if you live in like Green Bay or Appleton or whatever, and you're listening to me right now, I'm telling y'all, if your kids have not seen this dude play, it is worth the price of admission to come down here so your kids can say that they saw him play. Just like all of us should have seen Michael Jordan play, if our parents would have brought us or if we were old enough to get there. Thankfully, I was able to see Michael Jordan play a few times because you knew then, unbelievable, right? You knew Shaq, unbelievable. Kobe, unbelievable. Even Yao Ming, unbelievable, right? There are certain guys that you just know I'm probably not going to see much like this ever again. So you have to go. And Giannis is definitely one of those guys. We'll talk more about the Bucks with Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, NBA insider, coming up here in about 15 minutes. I want to play you this sound from Xavier Scruggs, former MLB player on MLB Network. And Xavier Scruggs talking about Freddie Peralta and this Mets rotation after the Brewers trade with the Mets.
I'm looking at this basically feeling much better about the Mets outlook going into 2026 now that they've got a bona fide number one at the top of the rotation. I think there's uncertainty below him within everybody else. And I know Nolan McLean came out last year looking like a firecracker of some sort and looked amazing. But remember, it's not easy to make that adjustment going into year two and facing guys that will be making the adjustments off of him. So I think getting the swing and miss Freddie Peralta, fastball Freddie at the top of the zone, gives you a different look in that rotation. It gives you a different guy that now opposing hitters will go into Citi Field looking like, okay, this ain't no stroll in the park. This is somebody that is one of the best in all of Major League Baseball, including if he hits free agency, it'll be Tarik Skubal and him at the top of everybody's list. So when I think about Freddie Peralta joining this Mets team, now I can take them more seriously when it comes to not only the depth of their rotation, but also the upper echelon starting pitchers at the top.
It is interesting when you hear Xavier Scruggs, again, outside guy, not local guy, talking about Freddie Peralta and how now this rotation with him at the top as an ace now makes them serious kind of going forward. Do we undervalue Freddie Peralta here in Wisconsin? Or is the national media overvaluing Freddie Peralta in your mind? Nicolay Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube, where we're streaming all of those platforms right there for you, no matter where you may be listening. Of course, podcasts and live streaming there as well at wisportsradio.com if you ever miss anything. Plus, we stream the audio there to wisportsradio.com. So for a lot of years, Freddie Peralta was the third guy in this Brewers rotation. And then Corbin Burns leaves. And it's him and Woodruff. Woodruff hurt. Then it's just him last year waiting for Brandon Woodruff to get back. And he pitched well in his game against the Chicago Cubs, his last victory. So he did well there. And I think it's fair to say that Freddie Peralta is loved by everybody in southeastern Wisconsin that's probably run into a head-to-head, a Freddie Peralta encounter at any point. Whether you ran into him, out and about, or whether you went to something where he was doing something with kids in baseball, whatever. So, before I say what I'm about to say, I got no beef with Freddie Peralta. None whatsoever. I didn't want them to trade Freddie Peralta because in my mind, it was counterproductive to sign in Brandon Woodruff, right? If you were not going to go for it and try to get to the World Series, then why are you spending $20-some million on Brandon Woodruff? if you had planned to keep Freddie Peralta with Brandon Woodruff and say, hey, we're going to keep both these guys and we're going to go spend Suarez, get Suarez to play third base. And for the first time ever, we're pushing all chips in and we're going to try and go win this damn thing next year. Then, okay, I'm in. Yeah, you lose Freddie Peralta for nothing. Yeah, you probably lose Brandon Woodruff for nothing. And you get the compensation pick, but you lose him for pretty much nothing, right? Then it makes all the sense in the world. But to sign Brandon Woodruff to that much money and then to tell Freddie Peralta, it's real, see ya, out you go, and do same old Brewers, just doesn't make sense. Why'd you pay Brandon Woodruff all that money for? I mean, that's what I don't understand. The trade itself, I'm fine with the trade. As far as what they got back, I don't mind it. I'm not a big fan of short guys. Me being a short guy, like I don't know if we really need. I don't think we need more than one or two on a team. Now we're at 3 and growing every day. Sorry, I shouldn't have said growing. But either way, my point is I like the trade. I think Sproat is good. I think Jet Williams has a potential to be a guy like Sal Frelick in the outfield with more pop, like Charlie said. 17 homers between AA and AAA last year. So I'm fine with the deal, and we'll get more on this from Jim Callis, senior writer at MLB Pipeline at 3:20 when he joins us. But never, ever have I ever looked at Freddie Peralta and said, yup, he's an ace on a World Series winning team. Never. Never. I've always looked at Freddie Peralta and said, yeah, he's probably a 2 or a 3, probably a 3 on a World Series type team that's going to win a championship. Never looked at him and said, yep, he's your 1 on a World Series team. So I think, personally, the national media, because he went to New York, is overvaluing Freddie Peralta, and they're looking specifically at last year only. Do I think he's going to repeat last year? No, I don't. I think he's going to revert back to kind of what Freddie Peralta is. Probably back in the mid-3s, somewhere in that area, ERA-wise. It's going to have his games where he's going to have some problems early on in games again. Being without Chris Hook, I think, is a big negative as well. So that's how I look at it. Mike in Waukesha, you're up first on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Do you think we undervalue Freddie Peralta in Milwaukee, or is the national media overvaluing him?
Well, I think we probably maybe undervalued him a little bit, but they're definitely overvaluing him because I truly think, he was good for our team. But as for going to the Mets, I mean, I've already heard that Stearns is not planning on signing him after this year. So he gave up 2 top prospects for a rental player.
No. That they're buying in on Tobias Myers, apparently. Well, again, I'm not, but they are.
But Sparky, the other thing is, too, and I'd have to ask your opinion on this. Don't you think the Brewers didn't expect Woodruff to take that contract?
I asked Matt Arnold that. I did when we were at the toy drive, and he sat down with me for a half hour at the toy drive in December. I said, hey, man, do you have these conversations and get an idea of will they take it or won't they take it if you offer it? Because, again, from a Milwaukee standpoint, more than likely, everybody thought that he wasn't going to take it, and that's why you offer it to get the compensation pick, and that's why you do that. And he kind of looked at me and kind of said, we really didn't know which way it was going to go, if we're being honest. We really didn't know. We were hoping he was going to stay, but we didn't know for sure. That's what he said publicly to me on the record on this radio show. I tend to lean your way and think that maybe, just maybe, they knew one way or the other before they offered it, because that's a lot of money for 1 year for any player on the Brewers.
Yeah, and with Freddie, Sparky, it's pretty darn frustrating when you're watching a Brewer game and Freddie's already up to 75 pitches in the 4th inning.
Correct.
So, and I think we got to watch out because remember, around year 5 or 6 or 7, that's usually when you start to see the Tommy John surgeries, and we can't afford to pay the money that Arizona's paying Burns for that. Thanks for taking the call.
You betcha. Take care. That's the other thing, age, right? And the reason why people don't think David Stearns would give him an extension is because we're talking age 30. Stearns don't like doing that stuff once you get to 30 or above. Kind of like Brian Gutekunst. They got that in common. So that age 30 is like age 80 in professional sports, apparently. Now, nobody likes touching once you get past 30. Freddie Peralta last year had a 2.7 ERA, led the National League in wins with 17, which is really good. He had a whip of 1.05, which is his best whip since 2022. Whip is walks plus hits divided by innings pitched. That's essentially what we're talking about here. So lower the number, the better. You want to be as close to 1 as possible. ERA wise, 24, 368, 23, 386, 22, 358. I'm just saying that is who this dude is. I don't believe, and if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't believe he's going 2-7 again this year. I'm not there.
Not in New York.
And if he goes 3.68, if that's his ERA, 3.86, Mets fans are going to be livid that they gave up those two kids for Freddie Peralta. Absolutely livid, because everybody in the New York media is selling him as a 1-2. John in Hartford, you're next on the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Do you think we undervalued Freddie Peralta in Milwaukee, or is the national media overvaluing him?
Well, Sparky, how are you doing, first
Good.
of all?
Doing good.
Second of all, the national media is overvaluing this guy. Freddie Peralta is a good ball player, but for you to be a true ace of a rotation, you cannot cause your bullpen to be burned up every time you go out to pitch.
Yep, agreed.
And he had, 2 starts where he went 6 innings last year?
Yeah,
it's not good enough.
No, he did not go. I don't think he went past the 7th inning more than twice last year, if my memory serves correct. I'd have to go back and look. But yes, and if you're an ace of a staff, John, you're expected to go deeper into the games more regularly.
You should minimum go 7 and more than likely go 8.
Yeah, again,
it should be a day off for your bullpen.
I'm going to have Charlie look this up. Thanks for the call. Look it up real quick. We got to take a quick time. I'll get to Scoop B, but we can bring this back at 3 o'clock. We're going to get back talking about the Brewers at 3, but look up and see which pitchers pitched longest in the games on average last year, meaning, best average per inning, like top guy averaged 7 2/3 or whatever. And then where Freddie Peralta is on that list, because he's way, way far from the top. I'm just wondering how far away from the top truly is he at the end of the day. Potawatomi Sportsbook, that's where you're going to want to be. You got the championship games coming up. You got college basketball. You got pro basketball going on as well. All of these, hockey, all these sporting events and more at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. 2,000 square foot center screen, over 30 sporting events at once. 2 different levels to hang out on. That second level you can rent out for business functions and so forth. We'll have Austin Herdenia, Potawatomi Sportsbook Manager. He'll join us coming up at 4:40 as we follow the money as we do each and every Friday. Looking forward to having him on. Potawatomi Sportsbook Kitchen is amazing as well. Homemade desserts and pastries. You have almost 50 different beers on tap, 48 of them, dozen different specialty cocktails. Everything you could possibly want to eat, they have, including all-day brunch. Reserve your seat today. Again, it's a nominal fee, but it goes towards your food and beverage costs. So you can spend that money either way. Go to Potawatomi.com today. Potawatomi.com. Coming up next, NBA insider Brandon Scoop Robinson. Follow him on X at Scoop B. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Hope y'all are doing well here on a Friday. Super cold weather. Tommy Wirtz, producer, just came inside. He's like, oh, man, it's warming up nicely outside. Yeah. Right now, outside, a temperature of -8 and a real feel of -27 right now.
It was -33 when I came in. We're doing great. We're doing great.
We're warming up here in southeastern Wisconsin. I can only imagine what it's like in Duluth or in Superior. We should Google that and find out. Give you an update on what everybody else in the state is doing, too. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law, one call that is all, friend of the show, Brandon Scoop B. Robinson, NBA insider. Follow him on X at Scoop B. So how cold is it by you, buddy? Because we're at, like I just said, we're at -8 with a real feel of -27 right now, which is the warmest it's been all day here. How are we doing by you?
It is. I'm going to tell you right now. Good to see you as always. Looking at my weather app. I have not been outside my home office today.
Where are you at now?
I live in D.C. right outside. Well, live in Maryland right outside of D.C.
Oh, so you're going to get some snow this weekend then, I think, right? You got some snow coming?
I am, and I actually have to head out your way. So I've been changing some travel arrangements and making that stuff happen because we are expecting some snow Sunday, Monday.
Well, we have severe cold, but we don't have any snow in the forecast for the next several days. So no worries about that, at least here in our neck of the woods in Wisconsin. All right, Scoop, I saw some of your Giannis stuff earlier in the week, and I'm sick of talking about Giannis, if we're being honest. I think we all are around here. So I was like, no, I don't want to put myself through that. But then I saw the Miles Turner thing today, and I was like, okay, now I got to talk to Scoop. He had the one-on-one with Miles Turner. Man, like, when they traded for Miles Turner, Scoop, we were all excited. We were like, man, like, we got a younger version of Brook Lopez. Like, this is going to be all right. And Pacers fans were all up in the mentions like, you shouldn't be getting too excited. You paid too much money. He's going to disappear in games. You're going to find out. And that's kind of what's happened. I mean, when Giannis was out, completely missing in action. When Giannis is there, he obviously is better. But Turner talked about how much different the offense is here versus what he was playing with in Indiana.
Yeah, if you actually check out our interview today over at scoopb.com in the blog section, Miles and I actually talked about his biggest adjustment. The question was, now that you're in Milwaukee, what is the biggest adjustment skill-wise or play-wise playing here versus playing in Indiana? And he said, quote, with my group last year, we were a free-flowing team where the ball never stuck. It was a real point guard type of situation or system, he said, rather. Here, you're playing with a generational superstar. You have to be more calculated and pick your spots. It's a different type of offense, so it has its challenges, but it also has its benefits. You get a lot more wide open threes and more chances to create for others. It's definitely a change of system. I will say that just covering Miles prior to him being with the Milwaukee Bucks and now being with the Pacers, I think he is right. I think Brook Lopez and the Miles comparison, I never really saw it because I look at Brook as more of an evolved center. I have always compared Brook to more of a faster Zydrunas Ilgauskas that has been able to adapt to systems playing alongside swingmen. He developed a 15, 16-footer, developed a three-point shot, and was more of a post presence, playing along any iteration of Deron Williams and some of the other guys with the Nets in New Jersey and later in Brooklyn. But I think for Miles Turner, I think is number one finding a spot. I think the Eastern Conference has just gotten that much better. But also you've had Giannis in and out of lineups. And then, even now with Doc's minutes restrictions or what have you, I actually was with the Bucks on Monday when they played the Atlanta Hawks on Martin Luther King Day out in Atlanta. And, Giannis was visibly kind of frustrated and just in reading that body language, I think it has a lot to do with restrictions and less about trade negotiations. But I do think that with Miles Turner, he is a big piece that it has to fit a certain system a certain way. I actually think he benefits more playing alongside, my opinion, playing more alongside Tyrese Halliburton than Ryan Rollins and Giannis. But it's the first half of the season. We'll see how that goes.
What I don't understand is how could you be that big, be that athletic, and not rebound at a much higher rate than he does? Like when Brook Lopez was here, it was, well, he puts his butt into people, he boxes out, ball falls and hits the ground, or he opens it up for somebody else to get rebounds. I don't get that same sense when I watch Miles Turner.
Again, I don't think you can compare him to Brook Lopez, but I do think I personally, when I saw that he signed with the Bucks, I didn't see it as a fit, but only because I feel like that Pacer system was more allocated towards younger guards and Pascal Siakam.
All right, hold on. I'm gonna interrupt you. So here in Milwaukee, they all want Doc Rivers fired. Get rid of Doc. He's screwing this up. The offense is wrong. They just got to get somebody else in there, whoever it is. And then this will all of a sudden, like that, become much better if they move on from Doc. You tell me, Scoop B, what do you see?
No, I don't think the hypothetical of firing Doc remedies you don't take Theraflu to remedy athlete's foot. You use tough Dactin to Nactin to remedy athlete's foot.
Good one.
and I'm really I'm free flowing and thinking.
Yeah.
That a lot of times fans or even people who just are passionate about their respective team think that it's the coach and that it's the personnel. If you're blaming the coach, maybe it's a system that you dislike, and maybe you allow that free flowing to happen differently if you bring in somebody else. But who's the option? Darvin Ham is removed from coaching the Los Angeles Lakers last year.
Dave Yeager.
Yeah, and I like him too, but I don't know that removing Doc remedies that. I think it's a system of the Bucks and identity. Like, I think it's two things. I think it's one, Giannis hasn't been healthy. Two, Turner hasn't been healthy. Three, the Eastern Conference has gotten that much better. But four, the Bucks strike me as the type of team that really will kick it into high gear after the All-Star break, assuming Giannis is still there. And I think that you're seeing across the board, again, to just go with the Eastern Conference team, the Knicks aren't what we thought they would be. The Cleveland Cavaliers are not what we thought they would be. And then you're seeing teams like the Orlando Magic blossom. You're seeing the Boston Celtics defy all odds. In addition to talking to Miles Turner this week, I also dropped something over at Scoopy.com where, I talked with Jaylen Brown, and it kind of applies to the Bucks here where, Jaylen said to me point blank, listen, people really thought that we were only going to win 30 games this season, and we're close to that. We're exceeding that 30-point mark. They still have a long way to go, but they've been playing well and competitive without Jason Tatum, who could come back sooner rather than later. And I think that's going to pose a problem for Milwaukee as well in that Eastern Conference, because that's another team that's got to handle some things. I just think that when you look at the Bucks as an organization, I think they did wonders winning that championship. But to me, repeating is the hardest part for a multitude of reasons. I think that Milwaukee also benefited from beating a Brooklyn Nets team that, Harden issues, Kyrie ankle injury, and then they have to repeat all these years. And it's always been like this stalemate of whether that they can repeat or not. I think and
Giannis gets hurt every postseason. There's also that.
Of course, we're speaking the same language. Just we're just speaking it differently. But at the end of the day, I do think that I understand a fan's perspective of wanting a team to do better. You can't make Giannis heal automatically, and you also can't. Like, it's interesting when you look at the Bucks. There is a similarity in this instance of their star player comparatively to a Ja Morant in Memphis, where they're a name, but their player is also hurt. Ja came back in London and played against Atlanta, and then he's hurt again. It's like you look at Giannis, he's been in and out of the lineup, and then I also, you just know that there's conversations about where he'll end up. I think that Giannis also is afraid to voice that he no longer wants to be there, and I think that is because that's the only team that he's played for. He's been drafted by. And how do you face the music and tell people that? He's in a very similar situation that Damian Lillard was in Portland the first go-round.
Yeah.
And also Kevin Garnett, his first go-round in Minnesota.
But the difference is he doubled down in that interview with Sam Amick, said, I'll never ask to be traded. I mean, based on that, you double down and you threw it out there for all Bucks fans saying, I'm never going to ask to be traded. So now if you go, oh, I changed my mind, I'm out of here, that's going to be something. I think there's more likely now that he's just like, well, I'm stuck. I'll just play it out to my player option after next year. And then I'll opt out. I'm not asking for a trade. And then I'll figure it out and go somewhere else. Maybe that's how it ends up. I don't know. I'm just sick of all the drama. And we were talking about this in the first segment. Like when LeBron left Cleveland the first time to go to Miami, what happened around that arena? Businesses started shutting down and it became a ghost town. Back comes LeBron, everything starts popping again. And, you have this beautiful Deer District and everything they built around there. And there has to be some fear that the same thing's going to happen in Milwaukee like happened in Cleveland if Giannis leaves.
You're talking about the theater district in Cleveland, correct?
Yeah, yep.
I tell you that I love the theater district in Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
It's very theatric to me. But no, in all seriousness, when you have a guy like LeBron who dictates the market, specifically in the Midwest, that is Cleveland, and the same with Giannis and Milwaukee, it worries people. And but the interesting thing about LeBron leaving Cleveland and coming back was that I think he was a lightning rod when he came back. I don't have a gauge on what that would look like with Giannis if he were to go someplace else. He'd have to go to a place that's already self-made. LeBron is charismatic in a way that Giannis is not, and that's not a knock on Giannis. I just know that there are players who vibe with Giannis, and then there's some players who don't have a relationship with him. It'll be interesting to see how that carries out, and that's not indicative upon Giannis's personality at large. But I do see a similarity, in LeBron and Cleveland in stint one, not getting people. And I think that it's going to be interesting to see how it goes.
He is Scoop B. He's awesome. I love having him on. Scoop B, Brandon Scoop B Robinson, NBA Insider. Follow him on X at Scoop B. Great podcast out right now with Miles Turner. Got to check out Miles Turner's comments. He had a one-on-one with Scoop B. Scoop, thanks so much for coming on, buddy. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Check out Sugar Ray on Scoop B Radio as well. He was on today, too.
Ooh, another one. Look at you just dropping stuff on the way out. Scoop B, take care, buddy. I appreciate it. That'll take care of this hour. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live on Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Scoop B joined us on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Still to come, Jim Callis, senior writer for MLB Pipeline, tell us about the Mets prospects the Brewers got. Coming up next, there's some debate. Are the Brewers good or bad for Major League Baseball? That's straight ahead.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
You know, the beautiful thing is I try to guilt people sometimes into doing stuff. I try to guilt Tommy into cleaning up nicely to go out to Moe's Steakhouse tonight with his mom for her birthday. I don't know if it's going to work.
I think he looks nice already.
I try. Man, he is wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. I don't care where you're going. If it's a steakhouse, don't be dressing in sweatpants and a sweatshirt, man.
If they sit in like the bar side of Moe's, though, it's a little more casual.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. No chance. But anyways, so if you see Tommy out, if he's got like a nice polo on, pants, somebody take a picture and tweet it at Sparky Radio tomorrow. That would be wonderful. Because I would love to see what Tommy's wearing out with his mom's birthday tonight at Moe's Steakhouse downtown Milwaukee. All right, coming up this hour, Jim Callis, senior writer for MLB Pipeline. He is like the godfather of grading prospects out. He'll join us coming up. Ask him his thoughts on the Brewers trade and how they did. Also, I want to get his thoughts on this trade that happened with Mackenzie Gore. Everybody's like, oh, boy, look at all the prospects they got and what the Brewers got. Man, not a single one of those dudes are in the top 100. Not one. So, yes, they got more numbers, but it does not appear. And listen, I'm not saying these guys can't be wrong on what they think of prospects, but based on what I read, it doesn't look like they got a bunch of anything other than a bunch of dudes.
No, Tommy and I looked at it yesterday when it broke, and the 5 guys are all top 20 in the Texas Rangers organization for prospects. So from that standpoint, they got a pretty good haul. At the same time, like you mentioned, none of them are top 100 prospects. Even the number 2 guy, which is the top prospect that they got back in the Rangers organization, isn't even a top 100 guy.
Correct. And so, again, I think everybody's just got to understand and trust, and maybe we're not at that point yet. Do you think we're at the point to where people just be like, they really don't make mistakes? We're just going to trust that the Brewers know what they're doing. These guys will end up working out somewhat, and it's not going to be as bad as what everybody tells us. Has Matt Arnold and that front office earned the trust of knowing they aren't going to jack this up horribly? Like, for instance, Jimmy Haslam. Nobody wants to even interview with the Cleveland Browns right now. Like, I don't even know who their head coach is. It's going to be Jim Schwartz because he's the only one that wants it. Nobody else is even wanting to be the Cleveland Browns head coach because that organization is a dumpster fire, which I'm hoping and praying he doesn't do to the Bucs, but there's a chance. So that is not something that happens in Milwaukee, right? I mean, if you're a prospect and you get traded to Milwaukee, to me, you're excited. You're like, okay, A, I'm going to get to play sooner rather than later. And B, their track record of developing players is really, really good at this point.
Yeah, you're in one of the best farm systems in the entire major league. It's pretty cool to come to a place like this, especially as somebody that may not have the highest ceiling to a lot of other people. And that's part of the reason the team's moving on from you. But the Brewers know how to figure it out. They figured out Caleb Durbin. Joey Ortiz, you can complain about him as much as you want. He's still an MLB level player right now, and that's not something I think a lot of people thought he could be at any point. I think with the Brewers, I feel like what I've heard and what I've seen from a lot of Brewers fans around, most of them are giving them that benefit of the doubt, saying that, yes, we know it's something where we're still disappointed we're losing Freddie Peralta, but they've been able to work this before. I think last season you were saying Nestor Cortez in that deal was going to be a Cy Young candidate and that you were in love with him and that he barely pitches for the Brewers, but then you still get a Caleb Durbin in that somehow works out of nowhere.
And nobody was talking about that.
Exactly. He was the added piece, and he was the Tobias Myers of that trade, man. So when the Brewers are able to figure that out, and that's not even with the top piece of that trade, with these 2 guys who are top 5 prospects for the New York Mets in a farm system that is also pretty strong, I'm pretty confident they can make some magic happen with these 2 guys.
Right. And that's the thing, too, I think. When we start talking about whether or not they can pull it off and make it work, I don't think anybody is questioning whether or not they can pull it off and make it work or not. I think everybody thinks that either one or both these guys are going to be decent to probably pretty good at this point. And we'll get more on this from Jim Callis, senior writer at MLB Pipeline, coming up about 15 minutes. The question that we have right now is, do you think the Brewers are good or bad for Major League Baseball? And I know, Sparky, are you nuts? You're in Wisconsin. What are we doing this question for? Well, the reason is this. Because the Brewers have taken a lot of flack from around the country of, oh, the Dodgers are horrible. Oh, they're willing to spend all this money. Oh, the Dodgers are horrible. Yet, here is Milwaukee, who is on the verge of competing for a World Series by bringing back Brandon Woodruff, and they deal away their best pitcher from last year because he's on the last year of their deal, and they're essentially spinning it and saying, this is what's wrong with baseball. Teams like the Brewers, who don't want to pay their stars and then trade them away before their contracts even up for younger players. And then next year, what's going to happen? William Contreras is going to have 1 year left on his deal, and then William Contreras is probably going to get dealt because Jefferson Cuero is going to have his opportunity here sooner rather than later as the catcher. That's why I asked the question. You think the Brewers are actually good or bad for Major League Baseball? I can see both sides of this. Nicolay Law Talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. I get why they're bad. I understand why they're bad. And it's not because they trade Freddie Peralta. They're bad because if you are a person listening right now that wants a salary cap for Major League Baseball, the Brewers are not helping the situation at all. They're absolutely hurting the situation. Because if you're Tony Clark and the Players Association, what are you saying? Well, hey, man, they seem to figure out how to win year in and year out. Yeah, they don't have a World Series, but they're winning their division. The Chicago Cubs have significantly more money to spend on a year in, year out basis than the Brewers do. And they're beating them by 10 games, by 5 games, like consistently. They took the Brewers manager, put him in Chicago, and they still can't figure out how to beat that organization. And you're going to come crying that the rest of these teams can't figure it out and don't know what to do? Maybe they should have smarter people running their organizations, and then these smaller markets would be able to compete at higher levels. It's not our fault that they don't have people that have their wits about them running these small market organizations and don't know how to do it. The Brewers have been doing it since Mark took over. It's went from Doug Melvin to David Stearns to Matt Arnold. They are on their 3rd general manager, and there has been no blips on the radar for this organization competing at a high level year in and year out, Charlie. And that's why they're bad for baseball if you want a salary cap.
I guess. I think at the same time, though, a lot of people are looking at this and say, knowing the Brewers up to this point, I know some national people are a little confused by it, but there's a certain group of national people that also recognize what the Brewers are doing. And the Matt Vasgersians on MLB Network, they're going out there and saying this is how the Brewers operate. This is how they're able to stay competitive. It has nothing to do with having a salary cap or not having a salary cap. The bigger issue is looking back at the NLCS last season and seeing that the Brewers put so much effort into the NLDS. And then when it came time to play the Dodgers had no problem walking through the Milwaukee Brewers because they've spent so much money on that damn roster in order to make it as strong as possible so that when they do get to that point, they don't have to break a sweat. That's crazy. How could anybody want to watch that type of baseball when the Brewers are showing you that there's better ways to go about this that you can do with or without a salary cap?
The issue is, though, what the owners want to portray is, look at the Marlins, look at the Pirates, look at the Reds. These teams can't compete because financially they can't keep up. Like, it's impossible. That it does not work. But Milwaukee is what? The smallest market in baseball, or second to smallest market in baseball, whatever it is. And they are still figuring it out. Now, what you might hear in Pittsburgh is, yeah, but look at their attendance. Yeah, look at their attendance. It's amazing. Brewers fans are amazing in Wisconsin. They come from all parts of Wisconsin. They come on buses. They come in RVs. They rent hotels to come for a week and see the Brewers play. Whether you're in Wausau or Duluth or Appleton, Green Bay, Superior, whatever. They come from all over to see the Brewers play. Now, why is that? Well, number one, you've got a roof on the stadium, which means you're not going to get rained out and waste a bunch of hotel money because your team gets rained out for 2 or 3 days. That's number one. Number two, the tailgating and the partying unmatched across this country. That is also number two. Number three, and probably more important than 1 or 2, they win. They win. And when you win 90 plus games seemingly every year, when you go to a game, the odds are good, regardless of what the matchup is, that your team is probably going to win. When you support the Pirates and the Marlins and those crappy franchises, odds are you're going to see your team lose. And like it used to be at County Stadium at the end, you're going to have your own section all to yourself, sure. And you'll pay $5 to $10 to get in. Absolutely. But at some point, as the losing carries on from year to year to year, you want to know what happens? You lose generations of baseball fans that never even watch the game. They don't watch it on TV. The kids in school don't talk about baseball. They talk about other stuff, and there's no interest of having mom and dad even take them to a baseball game.
Yeah, it's kind of insane to see. It's kind of incompetence throughout these organizations continuously. It's them not realizing or choosing to ignore the blatant issues that they have, when, again, you can see a team like the Brewers be able to figure that out. But again, to me, that doesn't mean that's going to stop from a salary cap. It just means that these teams maybe need a kick to the butt more so than just, I guess, rewarding them for being incompetent, which is kind of what we're doing right now. You're ignoring them being incompetent. That's what they want.
Are the Brewers good or bad for Major League Baseball? Nikolai Law talking text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250 on the socials at WI Sports Radio. We got a bunch of stuff coming in over here on YouTube and on X in the Dugout Sports Chat. Anton, I believe, has a message up there as well. Charlie, what does Anton have to say?
So Anton says, in 2025, the Brewers are good for baseball. As a small market team, bottom third payroll, that won 97 plus games in the NL Central, they prove that elite development, smart scouting, speed, and defense can beat high spending. They are a model for competitive balance, though some argue their lack of big long-term investments hurts long-term top-tier competitiveness.
This is the thing. I agree with you that it's good from the small markets can compete. But like I said, it's also bad because of what the players union they will use this against the owners and saying, look, it's possible. They've done it. They didn't do it for 2 years. They've done it for 20 years now of competing at this level. This isn't just they got lucky for a couple of years and now they're back in the crapper again. No, they figured out how to do it year in and year out at this level. So that's why I say it's good if you're a small market fan, like, we want to be like the Brewers. And there's really not many teams that are like the Brewers that can do this year in and year out. Now, I'll tell you something that is good for Major League Baseball. What is good for Major League Baseball is the fact that they've shown that they can develop talent at a high level in the farm system and being able to scout and win on international signings and build that academy in Venezuela and continuously pluck guys out here the last several years. I mean, Taylor Green, who's a former Brewer player who's now one of the execs over there at the Brewers, said that he thinks this international class signing is special. Good Lord. They didn't say that about the last two. And you got Churio, Made, Pena. You got all these cats coming already. And now you're saying this one could be special? Didn't say it about the others? I mean, who knows how many good players you're going to get out of this draft. But that aspect of drafting well, signing international players well, and then when they're in your system, developing them and getting them up to the major leagues, there's talk Made's going to get here by the time he gets to 20, that he could be here by the end of the year. I mean, that is something that, again, should be aspired to by other organizations. I don't care if you're large market or small market.
Well, and they get to that point, and they also recognize when a player's ceiling has been hit. I think when you look at Freddie Peralta, you had me look up these stats earlier, so that's why I want to share these stats, because I did all this math and I don't like doing math.
Okay.
Because you can't find like average just innings pitched for a lot of these pitchers. You have to look at their actual innings pitched and divided by games played. So Freddie Peralta, I did it for all the Cy Young candidates. Paul Skeens averaged 5.85 innings pitched per game. Christopher Sanchez 6.3, Yamamoto 5.7, Logan Webb 6.08. On the AL side, Tarek Skubal 6.29, Garrett Crochet 6.4, Hunter Brown 5.97, Max Fried 6.09.
Right, what's Peralta?
And Brian Wu 6.2. Freddie Peralta is 5.33, a good 4.4 points or 0.44 innings pitched less than the next closest guy.
It's not as big of a gap as you would think.
No, but he's also
him and Skeens are close.
When you look at a lot of the other players that were innings pitched around him, they didn't pitch nearly as many games as he pitched.
Okay.
That's the other problem.
All right, fair enough. Bucks and Nuggets play tonight. When the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win, so act fast. Get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. Up next, I see him. He's joining us right there on YouTube on X as we live stream this bad boy. Jim Callis, senior writer at MLB Pipeline. Tell us about the prospects the Brewers got back. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's. Live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Welcome back. It is Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Steve Sparky Pfeiffer with you. Charlie Houston producing, other side of the glass. Joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. There he is on X and on YouTube as we stream live at WI Sports Radio. He is Jim Callis, senior writer at MLB Pipeline, the godfather of ranking prospects. Do you like that, the Godfather, or do they have a better nickname for you, Jim Callis, that you prefer?
I don't know if I have a better nickname. I feel like Alan Simpson, who started Baseball America, is really the Godfather. So maybe maybe a rung below Godfather, but I'll take it.
I mean, I said this earlier, and I'm not the biggest Kuiper fan, but you're kind of like the Kuiper for baseball, where like you're the guy that's on TV talking about it tonight. MLB Network going over the top 100 prospects list as well, which I'll be tuned into and check that out. So when the Brewers make a trade, I got to come find me some Jim Callis and find out whether or not he likes this trade. So Freddie Peralta gone. He goes to the Mets, I should say. The Brewers get two guys back. We'll get to Sprout in a second. I want to get your thoughts on Jet Williams, who's the highest rated of the two prospects. I mean, I'm 5'6". This dude's 5'7". They now got three dudes on this Brewers team about the same size as me, which is kind of unheard of in baseball. But I feel like he might be more talented than Frelick at this point.
Yeah, I was going to say he's definitely faster than you, Sparky. He might
Thank
be
you.
Success. He's definitely faster.
Yeah.
No, it's like, prospects. There's always variance with these guys, right? Like Jay Williams tore up AA and then struggled in AAA. So you kind of have to factor that in. I mean, he's still pretty young. Like ideally he's a catalyst. He's a guy who bats atop your lineup, makes things happen. He has probably more pop than you'd think for a guy who's 5'7", 175, I think is what he's listed at. Although it's a good and a bad thing, because I think sometimes it makes him a little too aggressive at the plate and maybe cuts into his hitting ability a little bit. Like, the Brewers always have, he's kind of fits that typical Brewers profile in that he does a little bit of everything. He can steal bases, he can play defense, he can play a variety of positions. He can, I don't think he's a plus hitter, but like he's not a below average hitter. He's got some pop. And the Brewers kind of have a lineup, it seems like a whole bunch of those guys, and you throw them out there and they do stuff that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score, like play really good defense and put a lot of pressure on the other team's defense with their speed and aggressiveness on the bases. And he kind of fits that Brewers mentality. I don't think he's really a shortstop at the big league level. I think he's capable of playing there, but he's the type of guy, he's more of an average shortstop, and you're going to want a better shortstop. And the Brewers have better defensive options than him at shortstop. And even at second base, as long as you have Bryce Terang, Bryce Terang is a really good second baseman, and he's better than Jet Williams at second base, so he's probably more of an outfielder. And like him versus Frelick, I guess I'd look at that like, and not just because Frelick's been in the big leagues, but Frelick probably has a higher floor, feel a little safer bet. But Jet Williams has a chance to be more dynamic offensively than Sal Frelick is, but there's more risk involved.
See, you broke it down at the major league level, Jim, as far as where he fits at the major league level right now. But if you look at the minor league level, and before the Freddie Peralta trade, we were kind of like saying, man, this Brewers team is so stacked in the farm system. Like at this point, third base was a problem for the longest time as far as developing somebody there. Now MLB Pipeline, we got two guys right there, including the number one guy in Andrew Fisher. Got Brock Wilken, who I think is number 9 in the top 10. So you got two third basemen. So that's no longer an issue. And then after they make the trade for Jet Williams, Jim Callis, I go, they're probably lacking in outfielders if you start looking at their minor league system as far as guys that are going to come up here and contribute anytime soon.
Yeah, although I think Jet is probably more outfielder than infielder.
Right.
It'll be interesting when Jesus Made is ready, where he winds up fitting. I do kind of like Josh Adamczewski. I think he's going to be a full-time outfielder now. He's not ready to come up in the next year and a half. He's probably more 2 years away. But they do have depth of talent. I keep saying this. I think the Brewers are probably the most underrated franchise in terms of doing more with less. The Rays get a lot of credit, and frankly, the Brewers are more successful than the Rays. And maybe they spend more, but it's not tons more. And, like in a perfect world, you'd rather keep Freddie Peralta and try to have the best team you could this year. but that's just not the way the Brewers operate. And, they know what they're dealing with, that they're not going to re-sign these guys. And, again, the directives come from ownership as to, whether you're going to pay free agents and what you're going to do. It's not necessarily like the front office is just like, hey, let's trade all these guys, but like they know what they're up against. But, it seems like every year the Brewers trade guys and we're like, okay, are they going to be able to do this again? And they do it again. What is it? 7 of the last 8 years they've been in the playoffs.
Yeah, they've been rolling. And next year, it's going to be William Contreras' turn because he'll have a year left on his deal. And then they have Jefferson Cuero behind him, itching at the opportunity to play at the major league level, but he obviously has to stay healthy. Jim Callis, senior writer, MLB Pipeline, joins us. Follow him on X at Jim Callis, MLB. Those guys have their top 100 prospects list coming up tonight on MLB Network. Check that out. Too. Let's talk about the other player involved in this trade for Freddie Peralta, Brandon Sproat, who we had a chance to see at the big league level this year already. Sub-5 ERA. What is he? 6'3", 6'4", and throws pretty decently hard.
Yeah, he's interesting because going back to his days of Florida, like on his good days, he looks really, really good, and it just comes down to consistency with him. And you could kind of eye a beholder him, really, Sparky. Like you could look at that guy and say, hey, I think that guy could be a frontline guy because fastball, curveball, slider, changeup all can be solid to plus when they're on. And he has probably average control, if you're balancing it all out. It just comes down to command and executing those pitches. So on his good days, you think, man, that guy could pitch in the front half of the rotation. Then there's days where he's not commanding it and getting whacked around a little bit. And that happened to him in the big leagues, some, and you're like, I don't know, maybe this guy's like a number 5 or a reliever, but he is. I mean, it's a talented arm, and the thing is, not that every guy is going to get better when they join the Brewers, but the Brewers, and again, I don't think they get enough credit for this, do a really good job at developing prospects, and we could kind of debate whether Sproat's really a prospect because he's 25 now and he's been in the big league. But I think they also, with big leaguers who maybe aren't prospects anymore, they maximize guys' ability to do what they do best. They put guys in a position to do what they do best and put them in roles in which they can be valuable. They just do a wonderful job of that. So to me, not that the Mets don't, but like I feel, I don't know, a little bit better about Brandon Sproat when I look at the Brewers. I mean, you look at a guy like Jacob Mizorowski, who's got, obviously crazy stuff, but was like this super raw ball of clay, what they've molded him into, or a guy like on the other kind of end of the spectrum of stuff, like Logan Henderson doesn't blow you away with stuff, but like Logan Henderson was really good. Or you get Quinn Priester, who was a first-round pick and a top prospect, and he never kind of, came through. And then he's on the Brewers, and I forget what he won, or they won 18 of his starts in a row, or whatever it was last year. So I feel good about the Brewers being able to help Brandon Sproat be the best guy he can be.
I was going to bring up Mizorowski because as you were talking about Sproat, talking about, well, these guys can be plus pitches, but then there's days where he doesn't have his command. And that's the thing that really hampered Mizorowski in the minor leagues, where he just didn't have his command all the time. And I brought this up after the season ended. Actually, it was in December when we had Matt Arnold on the show. And I said, maybe I'm crazy here, but all the pressure's on Mizorowski. He makes his debut and he throws doesn't give up a hit. Next game out, it comes out. I don't think he gave up a hit in that game, right? Yep. Then he takes that comebacker and he misses some time. And now when he comes back, nobody's talking about him anymore. He's kind of, he's fine. He's back. No big deal. And I was like, let's see what happens when he gets to the postseason. Maybe this dude knows how to focus in big game moments and can really deliver. And sure enough, dude got to the playoffs. He focused in and he looked really good. So I might be wrong, but it feels like that's a focus thing. But with Mizorowski, he didn't have or doesn't have 5 or 6 pitches where prior to him getting called up, you said, well, it could be average to plus pitches. He's got a couple. It sounds like Sproat's got a deeper repertoire if he can find his command.
Yeah, I mean, they're kind of different animals. I mean, Mizorowski's Sproat's like 6'3" and kind of strong and physical. And Mizorowski's like 6'7" and I don't know, kind of like a baby giraffe out there on the mound a little bit, trying to he's still learning how to keep everything in sync. And like, honestly, the guy hasn't pitched a whole lot because he lost his high school senior season in the pandemic. His first year junior college, he tears his meniscus in his first start. So he doesn't have a whole lot of innings under his belt. And I think the difference is Sproat's got good stuff. Like Mizorowski's stuff is insane. And then you couple not only how hard he throws, but the angle he throws at. like the ball comes out of his hand because he's so big and it's such a low slot from a spot where it really doesn't come out of anybody else's hand, like, or very few guys, and nobody where it comes out at that wide angle has, is throwing 103-mile-an-hour fastballs and 94-mile-an-hour sliders.
Yep.
Like your eye, so much of hitting is muscle memory and eye memory. Like you see the ball come out, like you've never seen pitches like that come out of that location ever. So if Mizorowski is just close to, like, Mizorowski, if he even has, I'd say, below average control, he's just close enough to the plate. His stuff's so good, you don't have time to react. He's going to be fine. Whereas Sproat, he has good stuff, but a lot of big leaguers have good stuff, and he's got to have more of that average or better command to really thrive, or at least to reach his potential.
Jim Callis, senior writer, MLB Pipeline. Follow him on X at Jim Callis MLB. Going to reveal the rest of their top 100 prospects list tonight on MLB Network. I have one more for you. Do you think any of these highly touted guys that we're talking about here with the Brewers, Made, Andrew Fisher's the number 1 rated third base prospect and so forth, any of these guys you think get a cup of coffee at some point this year in Milwaukee, say September, when September call-ups come, or maybe before then? Like, you look at Joey Ortiz. If Joey Ortiz struggles and if Made is playing well, I just wonder whether or not they may not just say, to hell with this, let's just see if the kid can handle it.
Yeah, he is going to be 19 this year. I think the 2 Mets guys who just came over, we'll see in the big. I mean, obviously Sproat's playing in the big leagues and Williams is knocking on the door. The rest of them, I don't know. Like with Made, those guys write their own ETAs. Like, he's so ridiculously talented.
I love that you laugh when you say that. That makes me feel really good about
him.
No,
I mean, you just think about him. It's crazy what he did at 18 last year. Like, I can't really see him because the Brewers are a talented team. It's not like they're riddled with holes. I think there's a small chance that he's so good that maybe, but you have Jet Williams ahead of him. I think it's maybe more likely we see Cooper Pratt, who I think could come up and play a big league shortstop right now. I don't know that he would be a ton of impact at the plate. He could kind of hold his own, but be a quality defender at short. I think of the guys who are in the system, Sparky, before the trade, who are going to be top 100 prospects this year, to start our year. Cooper Pratt is probably the most likely, more likely than, say, Made or Pena. Fisher, I wrote an article where somebody asked me who could be the Trey Savage of 2026, coming out of the draft. And I put Fisher in there. And again,
you did.
I don't like from an offensive standpoint, I don't know. I mean, Caleb Durbin's a gamer, but like I could see a scenario where maybe like on the extreme end, Caleb Durbin struggles more than expected, and Andrew Fisher really hits. Like there are people with teams who told me that Andrew Fisher had the best data of anybody in the draft last year, college hitting wise, just pure, exit velo, swing decisions, contact ability, all that stuff. I don't know if he's a third baseman. Maybe if Andrew Vaughn turns back into a pumpkin and Andrew Fisher rakes, he comes up late in the year. Again, that's a lot to ask for a hitter straight out of college, but I do, I think there's a non-zero chance. Like the Brewers just have a very fun farm system, and they get guys who aren't necessarily big names too, and they help guys develop and make them into better players. So, I think it's more an issue that their big league team is talented enough that there aren't a lot of openings that we won't see some of these guys probably until 2027.
I'll just say this. If Andrew Vaughn doesn't turn back into a pumpkin, that might be the biggest development success story the Brewers have at this point, if he ends up being like everybody thought he was going to be coming out of the draft.
Or even close to it. Because, I'm based in Chicago, and everybody in Chicago, White Sox fans were asking me, like, what the hell? Like, what is this? And I don't think the White Sox did Andrew Vaughn any favors by getting him to try to play the outfield. He's not an outfielder. But, like, he kind of had one year where it looked like, okay, he was starting to be the guy who was the number 3 pick in the draft, and then he just got progressively worse as the team got worse. And then he goes to Brewers, and he's, like, hitting an all-star level and batting in the middle lineup on a team that's winning playoff games. Nobody in Chicago could believe that.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it either. It was amazing. Jim Callis, thank you so much. You're always the best. Senior writer, MLB Pipeline, on X at Jim Callis MLB. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, great talking to you, Sparky.
You betcha. Take care. There he is, Jim Callis, joining us on the Nicolay Law Talk and Text line as well. Over there, Charlie Usen, Jim Callis is awesome, is he not?
He is awesome. He was really great. I really learned a lot about the two prospects. You know, Jack Stern was a lot higher on Brandon Sproat than it feels like Callis was there. So I'm a little in between.
I mean, like Callis said, right? It all comes down to consistency and being able to find it. Can Chris Hook find it? So instead of having 5 or 6 pitches that he's trying to throw, what Hook tends to do is, let's talk about 3 and let's really ace those bad boys consistency wise. Then we get past that, then we'll worry about the other ones. That's what I feel like Hook is really good at. Like, let's find the ones that we know you can throw consistently really well, and then throw the other ones still, but not nearly as much as you've been throwing them, and kind of hone in on what you do really well. I think that's what changes it.
Tommy also pointed out yesterday when we were looking at his pitch repertoire that he doesn't have a cutter in there, which feels
that's a Chris
strange for a Brewers pitcher to not have that. So Chris Hook's going to maybe implement that.
The thing that scared the crap out of me when I read it on MLB Pipeline, his fastball, so it got up to 102 2 years ago, I want to say, and I think they had him at 101 last year last year. But the scary thing is, according to that scouting report, it's got no shape. Like, it's just straight line in. They were hitting 380 off of that cat's fastball at AAA last year.
Yeah, that's not
380.
Well, maybe you could try to work it into a cutter, force him to get some movement on that.
For sure.
Like we're saying.
Again, in Chris Hook, I trust. Like, you could give him Charlie, and I'd be like, he'll figure out how to get Charlie getting out in a game. He'll figure it out. He'll figure it out.
So on the other side, would you give Pat Murphy yourself and he could figure it out since he's got all the short guys on the field?
You have to have talent in your body. When you play college football, you have talent. I have no talent. Don't need talent, though, to play the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Little luck, and you're ready to roll the Potawatomi Sportsbook, right? That's all you need. 2,000 square foot center screen. It's a beautiful thing. 30 different sporting events at one time. Potawatomi Sportsbook kitchen, unmatched, I tell you. The food is delicious. Burgers, wraps, wings, salads, all-day brunch, as well as homemade desserts and pastries, 48 beers on tap, a dozen different specialty cocktails. Always, always, always recommend reserving your seats ahead of time. Not that you have to. You don't have to. You can go down there and be like, they're not going to be busy. I'm good. I'm not going to reserve. Fine. I don't trust that because I've been there more than enough times where you can't find a seat. So it's totally up to you what you want to do. Potawatomi.com /sportsbook, and then you can reserve your seats ahead of time. There's a nominal fee, but again, that's going to go towards your food and beverage, and you're going to spend that money anyhow. So really, at the end of the day, it doesn't cost you anything. Check it out today, Potawatomi.com. Coming up next, Charlie Sounds of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Charlie Sounds of the day coming up momentarily. Habish, and Rotier, baby. Plead the fifth segment comes up here at 4:20, so in the next hour. All we ask of you is to tell us who you wish would just be quiet. You just make yourself look bad when you talk about stuff, right? Who is that for you? And maybe there's a quote or something you want Charlie to find to go get and pull and play back. We do it every Friday at 4:20. So throughout the course of the week, you can always message in and let Charlie know what to do at 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. But Habish is something you've known for a long, long time, right? When I was growing up, that's who you always went to if you had any type of personal injury or involved in a car accident or whatever the case may be. Habish has one of the deepest benches of board-certified trial attorneys in Wisconsin. And these dudes and these women prepare. Because if you're not prepared, you're going to be found out quickly, right, in court. And that's why they have the national reputation that they do. Yes, they win huge cases and all of this, but at the end of the day, it's about your case. You become the most important case because from your standpoint, you are the most important case. It's about getting you money and winning this thing at the end of the day. And that's how they treat it. And that's how they should treat it, right? So again, if you're interested, if you're going through that time, or maybe you're not going through the time now, but who knows? You never know when something crazy might happen in your life. Check them out at habish.com. Habish.com, or call them 800-2HABISH, 800-2HABISH. Locations all over the state, right? Madison, Appleton, Wausau, Stevens Point, Rhinelander, all over 13 different locations. So again, Habish.com, Habish and Rotier, national reputation and hometown service.
1, 2, 3. What sound clips will Chicago Charlie pick today for Sparky? Will Sparky become enraged? Will laughter ensue? It's time for Charlie's Sound of the Day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, Charlie, time for your segment brought to you by Prize Picks. What you got?
All right, so first up, we're going to head on over to the University of Alabama, where head basketball coach Nate Oates was speaking today on Charles Bediako, I believe is how you say his name, returning to the team after playing in the NBA for a season there. A lot of people have been criticizing him specifically and this team because Bediako got a restraining order against NCAA to basically allow him to play immediately. It's a whole big situation that has never before seen. Here is Nate Oates.
First of all, the system's clearly broken, and I'm all for figuring out a way to fix it. But since the NCAA has already allowed professionals to play virtually every team we've played this year or will play as a former professional player on their roster, you tell me how I'm supposed to tell Charles and the team that we're not going to support them when he's been deemed legally eligible to play. So Charles is still within his 5-year window. He's 23 years old. He's pursuing his degree here at Alabama. We've got a roster spot open, so this is not taking any opportunities away from a high school recruit or anybody else. Charles shouldn't be punished for choosing to go the academic route out of high school rather than the professional route like the international players did. So again, my personal opinion on all this is we need a uniform and transparent system that doesn't punish the Americans, that takes the hypocrisy out of it, that gives equal treatment to Americans and international players both, while also allowing high school players the opportunities they need coming out of school. So someone should be able to come up with a system that checks all those boxes. But for now, we're going to continue to support Charles, our team, and we're working closely with our administration, our compliance department on all this.
Okay, so there is Coach Oates. And again, remember, it's the Wisconsin guy, right? From Watertown, played at Maranatha University and Maranatha High School and all of that. In fact, I just looked it up. He went 24-0 at Maranatha Academy, his high school basketball team. Then went and played Division III basketball at Maranatha Baptist University. All conference players, served as a captain, whole deal. So he's a Wisconsin native, is my point. I can't be mad at this dude. This dude is just playing in the wild, wild west like everybody else. This guy he's talking about, I believe, has had 3 NBA contracts, whether they're Exhibit A's or whatever it is. 3, okay? In my opinion, if you sign one, it's over. That's what it should be. But you're trying to win. That's what your job is. Just win, baby, as Al Davis would say. That's what Nate Oates is doing. You can be mad at the system, but to be mad at him is nuts. He's just playing within the system and trying to win basketball games for his university. All right, what's next?
Next up, we're going to head on over, stick with basketball. We're going to talk about the transfer portal. And Jay Billis feels like there's some hypocrisy in the NIL era between coaches, front offices of these universities, and players.
I would rather have these young people have choice than be restricted. Does anybody find it interesting that Lane Kiffin leaves a team that is going to the college football playoff, and not one coach and not one administrator came out publicly and said, what about loyalty? What about this? What about that? They didn't say any of the crap they say about the players. The sitting administrators and presidents and all that didn't say a word because they feel like they're going to be in that situation at some point, and they don't want to lock themselves out of doing what LSU did. I don't believe for 1 second the complaint that there's no loyalty anymore. Like, was it loyalty when we couldn't move? Like, how did loyalty just all of a sudden disappear once there was choice? You know, the players have choice now, and we want to say that players were more loyal when we were all in school. Were we loyal, or did we not have a choice?
That's not true. You had a choice. You just had to sit out a year. That's the difference. Now you don't have to sit out a year, which now makes it a lot easier. So the choice was always there. They weren't locked in and said they can't switch schools. They always could switch schools, but they would have to sit out a year. And, I mean, yeah, you picked the one guy where loyalty isn't even in the vocabulary when you talk about him, Lane Kiffin. Man hasn't been loyal to anything. So from that perspective, yes. When you look at Lane Kiffin, did you lose respect for Lane Kiffin when he left Ole Miss to go to LSU? Who had respect for Lane Kiffin before the decision happened to begin with?
He was getting pretty close to Urban Meyer
level.
Yeah,
I mean, come on, man. Ain't nobody care about Lane Kiffin and him leaving. Nobody was surprised by that. In fact, you should give Lane Kiffin a little respect. The fact that he let some of those dudes that committed to come by him actually still stay there, like Charlie Weiss Jr. and coach Ole Miss through. He could have just said, nope, we're done. Good luck to you, and really screwed him. He only partially screwed him, I guess, at the end of the day. All right, third clip.
And last up here, we're going to head over to the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, where former Vikings assistant coach Mike Pettin was discussing working with Brian Flores, and he didn't have a lot to say.
Kind of why I wanted Brian Flores to be the next coach of the Browns, but obviously either he's not interested or they're not interested. I don't know. I know he has that reputation. You worked with him. You know, he was tough on the players in Miami, and I think he's been vindicated. What's your thoughts on Coach Flores?
Probably not many that I would prefer to share. I mean, we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, and that's why I spent this past year on offense. I was there in 24 and 25, or 23 and 24 on defense. So, you know, I'll take the high road on that one.
This is not a good look. I'm not talking about from Pettin's perspective. I've never heard anybody complain about working for Pettin. Maybe he's a tough personality too. We just haven't heard it. We've heard people complaining about playing for Flores and so forth. Now you've got a coach saying pretty much, well, saying without saying it, that he didn't really enjoy his experience dealing with Flores in Minnesota for the last couple of years. And that's why he literally switched to the offensive side of the ball. It's just something else that goes along with it. Flores is a hell of a football coach. There's no question. But clearly, from a personality standpoint, or whatever the case may be, that's kind of really what's holding him back in this whole process right now. And the Vikings guy gave him a new deal. Come back and be coordinator. So he's not going anywhere, which isn't good news for the Green Bay Packers because that dude knows what he's doing on the defensive side of the ball. Coming up next, Green and Gold update. We're going to talk with Chris Emma, Bears reporter for 670 The Score. I want to know about Al Harris, former Packer cornerback, and what's the dude like as a coach? He just interviewed for the Packers. Let's find out what he's like as a coach. It's coming up next. Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you on a Friday.
Some shows talk about one team. Other shows barely talk sports. This show will talk Packers, Brewers, and Bucks every day. Every day. It's Wisconsin Sports Daily with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer, served up by Wendy's on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Download the Wendy's app today.
It is that time again here on a Friday as we broadcast live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky with you, Charlie Usen producing. Don't forget Charlie Usen and Jack Pembroke, a.k.a. Peacock, back at it tomorrow morning from 9 to 11 on Wisconsin Sports Weekend. Charlie, what fun stuff do we have planned for tomorrow morning from 9 to 11?
Oh, we got lots of fun stuff planned as per usual. Jack and I will dive into, as always, Warlocks Locks. I know Sparky loves that segment because I have to explain it to him every single time.
Sports cards.
I think we are going to try to find some college basketball cards and go with the college basketball route because Jack Peacock is a big college basketball fan. So we think he can give some insight there. So I think we're going to switch it up a little bit on that. And the pub crawl, as always, is one of my favorite segments.
And that was a Tommy Wirtz production.
That was,
right?
and it still sticks around.
All right, let's get to our 4 o'clock topic with our guy, Chris Emma.
It's time for your green and gold update on Wisconsin Sports Daily, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, joining us now on the guest hotline, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. He is Chris Emma with 670 The Score, covers the Chicago Bears there. Chris, thanks for coming on, man. I appreciate it.
What's up? Happy Friday. Hope you're staying warm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what kind of temperature you all got down there in Chicago. I'll tell you what we got here right now. Let's see. We have -8 with a real feel of -27.
Yeah, looking at it here, about the same. It's not great, man. I'm looking at you on the video stream here. You got your hat going, you got the jacket, you're ready, you're bundled up here. So I appreciate that.
Have no fear. This Brewers jacket normally is on every day, regardless of how.
I was going to say, it could be 90 degrees out and he's wearing
and I have a jacket on in studio all the time. The hat's different. Normally I don't wear the hat, but if the hat comes off, the hair's a disaster, and we're on video, so I'm not doing that game. Okay, so Chris, we all know Al Harris, the former Packers cornerback, opposite of Charles Woodson back in the day, and that was an amazing thing for Packer fans to watch. So obviously when you see Al Harris is getting interviewed for the DC job, you're like, oh man, I would love Al Harris to be the DC. And I tend to go, whoa, hold on. Well, let's wait and see, like, what is he like as a coach? How is he respected in the locker room? Like, I have a lot of questions for you about Al Harris, the coach himself. You're at practices, you're at the games. Your first thoughts on Al Harris potentially as a defensive coordinator, regardless if it's Green Bay or somewhere else?
I mean, his time's coming. It's just a matter of whether it's now or another point, a different team, but he's going to get that chance and he deserves that chance. And I was kind of going back through my notebook and some of the things that different players have said, whether it's Jalen Johnson, CJ Gardner-Johnson, Deshaun Wright, Kevin Byard, just to a man raving about Al Harris and the impact that he had on them. And everybody who spoke about Al Harris kept saying the same thing, that he's able to give them an advantage through film and through scheme and just identifying different things that allowed them to have the kind of success they did defensively, taking the ball away consistently. And every player, they want to get their hands on that ball and they want to be the ones forcing takeaways. And they were all giving credit to Al Harris in the secondary for what he was able to mean for them. And look, I'm fascinated by the potential fit with the Packers. Obviously, he's a decorated former player and somebody beloved in Green Bay. He could also be going to a spot where we're wondering about Matt LaFleur, kind of what comes next in terms of building that thing out and in his job after the way this season ended. So I'm curious if that is, despite the background in Green Bay, the right fit for Al Harris, or if he wants to come back or look for another opportunity elsewhere. But I think his time's coming. It's just a matter of when that is.
It's interesting because you talk about Matt LaFleur. We still don't have the details. There still hasn't been a press release about Matt LaFleur, but by all accounts, this thing is done with Matt LaFleur, and I think they're trying to finish up Brian Gutekunst and Russ Ball's deal as well in the front office, and they'll probably try all three of them out at the same time for extensions. I'm guessing they'll all be the same length, probably 3 years. Tom Silverstein, who covers the Packers, said he would put money on is probably somewhere in the area of like 3 at 45, $15 million a year in the extension. And this is how this plays out. So that gives you some security. I think if you're Al Harris, if that head coach now is there or under contract for 4 more years, you probably feel better about that. When Jeff Hafley got to Green Bay, the DC, who's now the Miami Dolphins head coach, he had all kinds of praise from DBs. Like Richard Sherman loves Jeff Hafley and said, you're always prepared. You always know what's happening before it happens, and teaching you to get the turnovers and create the turnovers. And last year they did with Xavier McKinney. And then there was a regression, I guess you could say, in Minnesota for the Vikings. They regressed. In Green Bay for the Packers with the turnovers, they regressed as well. I was reading last night, Al Harris gets to Dallas and boom, to the top of the charts they go in creating turnovers the 2 years he's in Dallas. He gets to Chicago and boom, up to the top of the chart we go there as well. So tell me, is this real? Is there a secret sauce that he has? Because normally, most times, you do not see the same team sitting at the top of the food chain when we talk about creating turnovers year to year in the National Football League.
Yeah, if these players are saying that, then I'll take him at their word for that. The idea of somebody like Kevin Byard to talk about how Al Harris is just giving them an advantage of what he sees, a tendency on film. You make a break this way on this route, and you're getting the ball. Jalen Johnson, whoever it might be, every single player in that Bears secondary was giving their flowers and praise to Al Harris this season, and that's no accident. And Dennis Allen spoke about it as well, saying this is a guy who, because he's younger, because he's fresh out of the league, just so many years away from his old playing career, that players respect him. He's got a different level that he brings to the table with these guys, and then he's able to break down tendencies because he's played at the game at this level, at that speed. Though it's not somebody who's played 30 years ago and telling them that this is how it used to be, that this and that. Players respect Al Harris, and he's got a disciplined style. He's strict. He demands a lot. I think it was Kevin Byard said, this is a guy who's never satisfied with any play. He's never going to give you your praise. And he's a demanding coach that every single player seems to respect and point to as a reason why, in this case for the Bears, that they did have their kind of success.
Talking with Chris Emma, Bears reporter for 670 The Score. Follow him on X at CEmma670. We saw the nonsense with Ben Johnson after the season about the Packers and all of that. And that's fine. What is Al Harris, the dude, like now as a coach? Is he out there? Is he loud in practices, screaming and yelling and carrying on? Is he that dude? Is he more reserved? What's his personality like in the locker room or at practice?
It's different. He's just a little bit more reserved. You don't hear his voice as much on the practice field. I tell you what, man, it was different this year. These Bears practices, going back to even OTAs, where these voices are being raised constantly, and you're wondering, who is this? It's usually Ben Johnson letting these guys hear it. Eric Bieniemy, now the Chiefs offensive coordinator again, was one of the loudest guys out there. Al Harris is not somebody whose voice I heard plenty, but when he speaks, it certainly resonates. And for his players, he's demanding. He's got a style that gets through to these guys without raising his voice, without being that guy. He's different from Ben Johnson in that regard, but he's similar in terms of the style of being an unsatisfied, demanding coach on these players, and somebody who squeezes every ounce out of potential of this group. And this is a secondary that didn't have the kind of success it did before Al Harris came in, and Dennis Allen and everybody else was a part of this defensive coaching staff as well. But they would miss Al Harris significantly in Hallis Hall if he left for the Packers. And I know people in Chicago would be really upset, but obviously happy for him too if he did get that job. So I think everybody who follows this team is hoping he gets a DC job anywhere but Green Bay. And given how talented that defense is, people are celebrating the fact that Jeff Hafley's gone. But if you're losing one of your top assistants to that same job and to this talented level of a defense, that'd be a blow for the Bears.
Yeah, Micah Parsons makes any DC look a lot better than maybe what they even truly are at the end of the day, if we're being honest. Those cornerbacks, for example, Keyshawn Nixon and Carrington Valentine, there wasn't much talk about them being god-awful until Micah Parsons went down. Then it's like, oh, my God, they're both bad. They need to replace both of them. And he didn't realize it because Parsons was the one guy that was creating so much havoc, helping to get other guys to the quarterback and so forth, and that defense completely changed. Okay, so I got one more thing for you. So this whole thing about Al Harris being a former Packer in Bears country, being that guy, and now potentially going back to Green Bay to be that guy in Green Bay. Would you expect Al Harris to have things to say about Chicago and in some type of retaliatory fashion towards Ben Johnson at some point, because on this side of the world, Matt LaFleur is never going to do anything. So we know that. So the hope is that a defensive coordinator can bring some of that physicality and that swagger to this defense that it desperately needs right now.
Al Harris doesn't strike me as the kind of guy who's going to put headlines out there and trash talk and continue on what Ben Johnson seems to have started with this rivalry. But his defense is going to take on that style. And, like, you better believe they're going to come out there with some juice for those two games, at least between the Bears and Packers next year. Like, if Al Harris is coaching that Green Bay defense, they're going to come out with fire. They're going to be ready to get after Ben Johnson's group. They're going to be talking as well. And I think they'll play as a reflection of Al Harris, which is what you saw for years in Green Bay, a guy who was a stalwart for that defense, who was a terrific player, who changed games for the Packers. And but he's not the kind of guy who's out there talking. He's not going to be running his mouth about anything with the Bears. But he's going to have his defense ready to go, well prepared for every single thing Ben Johnson could throw at him. And it would get them some kind of advantage against the Bears in running against them. And Ben Johnson would say back, I got a million plays, this and that. I'm not worried about it. But Al Harris knows Ben Johnson well. This is a guy who clearly has an ability to dissect film and to get a leg up on who he's going up against. And I think that's something that the Packers should certainly identify.
Chris, I'll say this. I think they want Jim Leonard. I think that's who they want. The former Badger defensive coordinator has been with the Broncos and Sean Payton the last couple of years. All reports say that LaFleur wants to talk to Leonard before he makes the decision, which he can't do now until after this next round. If they somehow win with their backup quarterback, then he wouldn't be able to hire him until after the Super Bowl. But if it's not Jim Leonard, I think most Packer fans around here want it to be Al Harris. And from a rivalry standpoint, that would be very intriguing to me. Former Packer goes to Chicago, comes back to Green Bay to coach the loudmouth coach in Chicago, or gets the loudmouth coach in Chicago. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Chris, thanks so much for coming on, man. Have a good weekend, and stay inside, man.
Absolutely. Take care.
Take care. There he is, Chris Emma, joining us. Bears reporter from 670 The Score. Follow him on X at CEMA670. It is the Green and Gold Update brought to you by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Check them out online at Potawatomi.com. All right, up next, Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier. Here is your chance to tell somebody to shh. That's enough. You've talked too much. Just stop talking. You're making yourself look bad, right? Plead the fifth, man. That's what we're asking for. So use the talk and text line 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. You can nominate a person that's on that you listen to on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network throughout the course of the week. You can nominate somebody in sports media. You can nominate coaches, players, whatever. And then every Friday, this is week 3 at 4:20, we do this. I'm hoping to grow this into something big where we get a lot of listener reaction, nominating Rami for saying something dumb, or John Kuhn. It's John Kuhn, buddy. Your time's coming in the next segment. I had Charlie pull something. You pulled that, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. We're going to talk about that and what John Kuhn had to say earlier today coming up next as well. So Wisconsin Sports Daily served up by Wendy's. Live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network Studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Bucks play tonight against the Denver Nuggets. And when the Bucks win, you win at Wendy's. After every Bucks win, stop by any participating Wisconsin Wendy's for a free small vanilla or chocolate frosty classic. No purchase necessary. This offer is only good for 24 hours after a win. So act fast and get that free small frosty classic at Wendy's. are we on a Friday? Some of you may be out of work already, maybe heading home, maybe heading to have a cocktail somewhere, a beverage to celebrate the work week being over. All is totally fine and acceptable. Sparky with you. Charlie Hughes, Other Side of the Glass. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up with Tommy Wirtz comes up from 5 until 6 this afternoon. And again, he is headed out, as Tommy Wirtz, to Moe's Steakhouse in downtown Milwaukee. He left here wearing sweatpants and a sweatshirt. Mm-hmm. I challenge any of you heading to Moe's Steakhouse tonight, if you are in the listening area, if you see him dressed up nicely, please take a picture and send it my way at Sparky Radio on X so I can know that he dressed up nicely for his mother, because that's who he's going out to celebrate his mom's birthday. So we should dress up for our moms, man. They raised us. They made us successful people, our moms. Nobody's more important than your mom. With all due respect, dads, I'm a dad. I can say that. That's just kind of how it rolls, right, Charlie?
Yeah, I guess he could throw on a polo shirt. Sometimes he wears khakis and
that's
the
what I said.
one button.
I ain't asking a man dressed in a suit and tie. Put a polo on your khakis on.
I want him to stay warm. He looked warm today. So
listen here. You can't be dressing better with that girl you showed up with at the party, the station party.
He wore a ugly Christmas sweater. That's not that nice.
Man, he had his hair done and everything else. That man, you didn't even go.
No, I didn't.
Well, you need to stop. I know what the man looked like. The man was dressed up for Tommy's sake, no question. All right. Now, having said all of that, we got to make sure to get to pleading the fifth.
It's a Plead the Fifth Friday, sponsored by Habish and Rotier. Who should have just kept their mouth shut? Who made a bad decision commenting on a topic they shouldn't have? Let's hear who you think should plead the fifth this week on Wisconsin Sports Daily. Served up by Wendy's with Steve Sparky Pfeiffer.
All right, here we go. Times when it's smart to keep quiet, and times when you need the right team speaking for you, like a majority of these people do that you're going to listen to. If you want somebody to plead the fifth that you've heard this week, let us know. 414-677-1250, 414-677-1250. I teased John Kuhn, right? And immediately I get a text that comes in the break that says, let's use Kuhn talking about how he likes Rich Bisaccia. Probably not the right thing to say about someone who isn't good at his job and is universally disliked by Packer fans. That's a good one.
That is a pretty good
that's
one.
A good one. That's
people were not very happy with John when Brandon posted that.
It blew up on social media too. It did, absolutely did. But I give John credit, man. Stand by your guy, man. If you believe in him, roll with him. And you talk to anybody that's played for that dude, they all love Rich Bisaccia.
Oh, yeah.
None of those dudes are going to turn on Rich Bisaccia and be like, "Hey, we need a new special teams coordinator." It's not happening. And more than likely, LaFleur's loyalty to Bisaccia will probably help Bisaccia keep his job, which will make everybody even more mad at the end of the day. But before we get to the segment I pulled on John Kuhn, let's talk about the idiot over there that started and runs The Ringer, Bill Simmons, and his co-host Chris Ryan, who I do not know. Should I know Chris Ryan?
No.
Okay,
really.
Good. So I really don't want to know Chris Ryan after you hear this. Bill Simmons and Chris Ryan talking about a possible deal with Giannis and the Sixers. They played this earlier on 9 to noon, but check this out.
There's another one on the list, and it involves the Philadelphia 76ers. And here's the trade. It's Giannis and the Gary Harris tiny contract for Paul George, the 2029 Clips Phillies swap pick that Milwaukee has, in VJ Edgecombe.
No. I want to move on. I want to live in the world where VJ and Maxey are the backcourt, and I don't want to watch Embiid and Giannis occupy the same areas of the floor.
So Ciara's telling us that VJ Edgecombe has a higher trade value.
No, I'm just saying that
Giannis
there's
Antetokounmpo. I'm trying to get this straight. I think you're right. I think they probably would not do this because they'd be afraid of how mad the fan base would be, because the fan base has already decided this is great. Maxey and BJ, sign us up. We're good.
God, you have no idea how fun it is to watch him play. He's such a fun player.
I think they say no. So if I do trade value again, forget about like all the reasons for it. I do think VJ Edgecombe might have a higher trade value than Giannis. As crazy as that sounds, on a rookie deal, 40 games into the season. And it's like, we can't trade him. He might be Dwayne Wade. Like, for real. This might be mid-2000s Dwayne Wade again. We're not trading him.
Literally, Bill Simmons should plead the fifth his entire life when turning on a microphone. Like, every time he turns on the microphone, just because very rarely is anything ever said that most knowledgeable, sane people probably ever agree with. You are telling, now again, I don't know Philly fans. I don't live in Philadelphia. You don't live in, well, you might live in Philadelphia if you're streaming us or whatever. If you are a Sixers fan and you'd rather have Edgecombe over Giannis and you'd be mad at your organization about that, watch a different sport. Don't do this to yourself. Nobody in their right mind would take VJ Edgecombe over Giannis at this point. Nobody. Other than potentially Philadelphia 76ers fans, according to Bill Simmons and Chris Ryan. You must be kidding me. First of all, I don't want Paul George. Let's start there. I'm not trading Giannis for an old broken down player. When Giannis has been broken down every year for the last how many years? And now I'm going to trade for another player that's even older and broken down even more than Giannis is? Absolutely freaking not. No chance. Now, the Edgecombe angle, would I want Edgecombe? Sure, I'll take him. Is he as good as Giannis? No. You're going to give me Edgecombe and a bunch of ones if we're going to talk about Giannis going anywhere close to Philadelphia, because just Edgecombe isn't going to do it. And in fact, if I'm the Bucks, you know what? I changed my mind. I want Maxey and I want Edgecombe, and you can have Giannis to pair. In fact, you know what? Everybody here loves Ryan Rollins. They think he's the future. You could take Ryan Rollins back. You could have Rollins, KPJ, and Giannis. You have a whole backcourt with Giannis. You all go play with Embiid and Paul George, and let me know how it all goes. I mean, that front court, George, Giannis, and Embiid, long,
old,
broken
injured,
down, right?
Yeah. I guess it'd be kind of fun. Sure.
Awful.
I think I listened to this trade and this the
horrible.
reaction to this trade, and I like watching VJ Edgecombe a couple games this season. I get why people are excited about him. He really is going to be an athletic freak.
Sure.
He steals the ball really well. Like Dwayne Wade is a really good comparison for what we're seeing so far in his rookie year, but it's his rookie year. You don't know what that's going to translate to in 5-10 years. You know what Giannis is? You know, Giannis is a top 3 player in the NBA when he is on that court, no matter when he's on that court.
Right.
So give him that type of credit. Bill Simmons, again, I think he just knows, like he understands Bucks fans just hate whenever he does this. And then he just does it again and again and again, even though he knows it's going to end up being like this.
Yep. Absolutely right. It just absolutely drives me nuts. Do you know who else drives me absolutely nuts as we do Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish, and Rotier right now? Again, go to Habish.com if you are looking for a personal injury lawyer. Again, they've been around since 1930, man. National reputation, hometown, treat you like you're the best here in the hometown service. Here is Sham Sharani, another guy that Bucks fans wish would just quit.
His comments after the game, the frustration that Giannis Antetokounmpo has is at an all-time high. He's frustrated with the losing. He's frustrated with the situation. And I will say this, I've spoken to about a dozen sources on and off for weeks now. And the tension that's in the air within that organization, in that locker room, it's at an all-time high. And there's a somewhat of a splintering environment that we're seeing going on there, because when a player of Giannis's caliber is maybe has a wandering eye or maybe doesn't know what his future holds there and is having these intense conversations with the organization about what that looks like, there's going to be such high levels and degrees of uncertainty within that organization. And all of this is, to me, it's been going on all year, but I just think back to the summer, late July, Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks general manager, John Horst, are meeting face to face. And John Horst is in the Bucks and Doc Rivers and ownership. They're selling Giannis Antetokounmpo and competing for a championship. Like, we have a title contending roster, and Giannis makes it very clear that he has concerns. He has issues with the roster, that he maybe doesn't believe that this is a truly contending team. And that leads to conversations with the Knicks. That's a preferred destination that he had in the offseason. Those two teams spoke. There were offers made. Obviously, there was no deal that happened. The Bucks end up signing his brother Thanasis. He ends up committing to the season, and he ends up starting the year there. And so everything about Giannis's brand has been loyalty. He spent 13 years in Milwaukee. It's clear he loves the city. He loves the organization. But what I've been hearing over and over for months now is that the writing is on the wall for Giannis and the Bucks.
The agent wrote that very well. I mean, literally, if I took Sharania out of that and said that was Giannis's agent saying all of that, you'd be like, yeah, sounds right. His agent would have been in the room having the conversation with ownership, preaching loyalty, preaching 13 years. Like, it was very well written by his agent. Because you're not going to convince me that this entire last 2 years of this Shams Charania Giannis stuff isn't coming from Giannis's agent, who wants him to get the hell out of Milwaukee and get to a bigger market. Like, you're not going to convince me otherwise. Literally every word that came out of that man's mouth sounds like it was an agent talking through Shams Charania and doing a deal for Shams here. So either way, that was one. Here's another one.
Giannis and the Bucks, they've been having ongoing conversations about his future, even going back to May. Those conversations have just every single passing week, every passing month since May, when I first reported that he is exploring his best fits outside of Milwaukee for really the first time, and really getting down to which team he would want to go to, where he would want to be. Those conversations have only grown with every passing week and month since May. And recently, the Bucks and Giannis's conversations have intensified in nature, because we saw Pat. He made some comments after their game on Wednesday. They've had some big blowout losses recently, and they got blown out on our airwaves at ESPN against Oklahoma City Thunder. They lost another blowout game, and he came out and absolutely went off on his team. Like, these are very uncharacteristic comments from Giannis Antetokounmpo. We know. Pat, also about 2 weeks ago, the fans in Milwaukee were booing him and the team when they were playing, and he booed them back, as we saw in that clip right there. That is also something we have not seen from Giannis and the Bucks fans, is the booing.
Shams Charania on the Pat McAfee show, both those clips there. Do you know what I'd do?
What's that?
I know what I would do. There's no chance they will do this, but I'll tell you right now what I would do. If I was John Horst, who, by the way, anybody seen or heard anything from John Horst in all this?
Nope.
Because I haven't seen a word. I don't know if he's in hiding or what the deal is, but he's not been very visible as far as media or otherwise. This is what he should do. He should call a press conference. Bring everybody in and be like, as you all know, Giannis came out on record with that interview with Sam Amick and said he will never request a trade from the Milwaukee Bucks. And I want it to be known on record, we will never trade Giannis going forward unless he were to request a trade. So just want to make that on the record. We're not trading him. So if your team's around the NBA, stop calling me. I'm not trading to you. If Giannis comes out and requests a trade, then we'll talk about it. I'm still not guaranteeing you we're going to do it. We'll have the conversation. But right now, we are not trading Giannis. We are looking to add to Giannis. Any questions? That's that. Like, just end it. Now it's your chance. He ended his side of this and said, I'm never asking for a trade. And he said it. So now if he two-faces it, totally makes him look horrible. Now it's back to you, John. Now you call a presser or do a one-on-one with Eric Nehmer, Jim Ozarski, or do a one-on-one, both of them, whatever, and say flat out, we're never trading him. It's not happening. He means too much to the organization. He's one of the best players to ever play the game of basketball. I know where we're struggling, and it's not looking great, but we're not trading him. It's just not happening. If he asks for a trade, I guess we'll consider it, but we are not trading him. He's under contract, and he's going to be a Milwaukee Buck. Case closed. Now y'all can shut your mouth and go away. And then let the national media scream and yell, oh, they're holding him hostage. Didn't ask for a trade. I don't know what y'all are talking about. Ain't no holding hostage anywhere.
Call his bluff. That's all this is right now. If this is his agent saying all of this and putting this out in the atmosphere, this is them trying to force you, the Milwaukee Bucks, to trade him so that he doesn't look like the bad guy. So go out there and say, nope, we're not trading you. You're on our team. As long as we want you to be on our team, we're going to give you the max extension. We're going to offer it to you. Yep, we're keeping you here. So make him be the bad guy.
Well, he does not have to ask for a trade to get out, right? He's got next year and then a player option. So then he can opt out. He doesn't ask for a trade, and then he can go play wherever he wants to play if that's truly what he wants to do.
Goes against what he said, too. He didn't just say that he's not going to ask for a trade. He said he's going to finish his career as a Milwaukee Buck, that he wants to be a Buck for life. He said that word for word. So that'd be going against that, too.
True. Yeah, you're absolutely right. One last one here on Plead the Fifth, brought to you by Habish and Rotier. This is from 9 to Noon with John Kuhn, Rami Makloff, Brandon Snide producing the show. This was from earlier today. John Kuhn said something on the air. In all the years I've worked in sports talk radio, I've never heard a former athlete say. And I would guess a lot of former athletes kind of just cringe. We're like, ooh, maybe you should have pled the fifth there, John.
I wouldn't call it choke. And I would
this year was a choke. We can say this year was a choke, right?
Yeah, on some level. I mean, you blow an 18-point lead at halftime, a 15-point lead going into the fourth quarter. That's choking on some level.
15-point lead going into the fourth quarter. They had a 12-point lead with 6 minutes left.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, on some level, I guess you could call that.
Now, I'm full disclosure. Full disclosure. I was part of the worst choke job in Packers history in the NFC Championship.
I'm glad you said it, and neither me or Brandon had to.
I'm going to say it, right? I'm not going to shy away from the truth, but I was part of the biggest choke job in Packers history in 2014. But this year, that was a choke job, and that's what got people pissed off, because for the first half, you had that team playing to their potential, and the second half, you didn't. And you got to be able to stop those momentum trains when they're on the track. And it just didn't happen this year. Last year, I don't consider that a choke job. In Philadelphia, with the people down that you were down, and Philadelphia was humming last year with their Kellen Moore as the offensive coordinator. They were in a different spot last year.
I couldn't believe he called it a choke job. I was absolutely floored. No NFL player that I've ever talked to, current or former, would ever admit anything was a choke job. Like, the word choke is just taken out of their vocabulary for all intents and purposes moving forward in life. Like, they hate that word. They will glare at me when I say that word. They will shake their heads when I say that word. A lot of you never played, you don't know. When John Kuhn said that, I thought of this segment, plead the fifth, and said, oh my goodness gracious, what are we doing here? I'm not mad at him. I'm not mad at him at all. I just can't believe he said it on the radio.
Well, and I kind of see why he's saying it's a choke job, but also at the same time, when he defends last year's game by saying that they were down a bunch of players, were they not down a bunch of players in this game too? Important players.
Yes.
When he said that they were going up against a Philadelphia offense that was just humming at that point. Yeah, I know the Bears lost the last 2 games of the season, but they were humming, and especially in the fourth quarter, they've been humming. You knew that's what that team was going to be late in those games, and that they were going to have that clutch gene to them. I don't know. That feels almost like the same situation. I get it in the moment, and compared to last year's game, it definitely was a bigger choke job, but you can't give it that type of title when you're not calling that the same thing last year.
There you go. So he doesn't even agree with not giving it. If it's last year, then this year. In your opinion, it should be both then.
Well, yeah, if he's going to debate it that way, it should be neither are a choke job in my mind if he's going to debate it that way.
I was shocked. I'm not going to argue with him one way or the other on it. He's John Kuhn. I get it. But I just couldn't believe he's used the word choke. Got a bunch coming in here. 414 says, it's honestly and the truth. What's wrong with that, Sparky? Nothing's wrong with that. Hey, don't come at me with, I got a problem. I don't got a problem. I'm just telling you my experience of doing this for a long time. Athletes don't talk like that. Athletes don't use the word choke in general. That's why when he said it, I was like, ooh, I bet you there are some former players cringing like, oh, man, why would you say that for, man? We got to tell fans to quit using that word, and now you're using it on the radio. I got another one coming in. We were talking about Giannis and the Bucks and that whole situation. 608, Dewey and Middleton. Wrong, Sparky. We should be done catering to Giannis. Team's going to be crap for a while regardless. See what's the most you can get and go get it. Love Dewey in Milton. I just don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Dewey, I understand, and I agree with you. They're going to be crap for a long time. But as we talked about earlier in the show, when he leaves, do you understand the financial ramifications that are going to happen to the organization and to that Deer District downtown area when people stop going down there for those games? Yes, you're still going to have concerts at that venue and at the new venue next to it that they're building. Absolutely. But everything else, it's not going to be pretty. So why would you as an organization rush to get to that point if you don't have to? You're just not going to rush to get to that point. You're going to push it off as long as possible. So he goes to the Knicks, and all of a sudden he's the number one selling jersey in the country, and there's all the revenue flowing into them. And like, no, you don't have to rush to that.
And then
you
all of a
keep
sudden,
him here as long as possible.
And then all of a sudden, just like Freddie Peralta, he's the greatest player in the league again. He's at the top of the MVP ladder. That's what's going to happen. It's going to suck.
JB in the 920, who again earlier said, I love this whole conversation. Well done, boys. Okay, that was good. Now that lasted like for 4 minutes. And now he texts back, Sparky, stop acting like you and Diana Rossini have talked to so many NFL players. LMAO. Well, she's definitely talked to far more NFL
yeah,
players.
He said, stop acting like you are Diana
Oh,
Rossini.
like I am Diana Rossini. Yeah. No, I'm not Diana Rossini. She's definitely talked to more players than I have, for sure. But I'm telling you, I've interviewed enough players in my life to know you don't say that word. Like that's just not a thing. 414. He's a former player. Absolutely nothing wrong with what he said. And actually, it's kind of refreshing to hear the truth. I agree. It is refreshing. But again, this is plead the fifth. That's all. That's all I'm saying. Man, oh man, John Kuhn's got his guys out there, doesn't he? He's got his guys. That's why they listen. 9 to noon with him, Rami Maglov, Brandside, every weekday, Monday through Friday, here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. Coming up next, we follow the money with our guy Austin Herdini at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Straight ahead on Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy's, live from Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Sparky here. Welcome in. Steve Sparky Fiber with you. Charlie Hughes, Wisconsin Sports Daily, served up by Wendy. Time to follow the money with handsome Austin Herdenia. That could be his nickname. Handsome Austin. Austin Herdenia wearing his tie. Austin, I'm going to pick on you a little bit. You okay if I pick on you a little bit? Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Is that your favorite color shirt to wear? That color you got it right now. You can see him now on X and on YouTube at WI Sports Radio. I feel like that color is like your favorite color shirt to wear.
You know what? I thought it's purple. My wife this morning told me it was maroon. I don't know.
Yeah,
I can't.
I would say maroon. Yeah. I'm with your wife. I don't see you as much as your wife, but I would say it's probably maroon as well. Okay, Austin. We have NFL games coming up, obviously, this weekend. We still got the NBA going on, all this other stuff. Top game bet, money on, what team is it on at the Potawatomi Sportsbook?
Seattle Seahawks -2.5. That game is getting that bet right there is getting the most money of anything we've seen for this weekend's games. That's the second game on Sunday. Seahawks come into it as a small favorite. It's been a great two matchups, the Seahawks and Rams this year. You know, both games decided by 1 point and 2 points. So that makes sense why there's a small spread on that. The Rams, in my mind, though, they just got something. I don't know what it is. They just got that it factor. I feel like this is the Rams game to win. So I'm against our bettors on this one.
I'm with you. I don't trust Sam Darnold at all. I just feel like interceptions will pop up and he'll cost his team a game at the end of the day. I will also say I am not rooting against either team here. I don't really care who wins it one way or the other. I'm fine with either team going to the Super Bowl. I think it would be cool if McDonald got to the Super Bowl with the Seahawks. McVay's already got one, so forth. But at the same time, it'd be cool to see Devontae Adams in a Super Bowl after they distinguished your Chicago Bears last week. So I enjoyed watching that last week. Sorry about your Bears.
Chicago Bears? They're
your
not
Chicago Bears. Yes. And I owe you a Chicago Bears tie. And I will get you a Chicago Bears tie, like I promised. I will deliver it for sure. Okay, second most bet game. What do we got?
New England Patriots -4.5. I think a lot of people are just, hearing the news of Bo Nix not playing. I think that a lot of people are thinking that kind of rules them out from being a contender. So New England Patriots -4.5 is where a lot of that money is going.
I really want Jarrett Stidham to beat them. I can't. Listen. My hatred towards the Patriots organization goes on for quite a while, but it was mainly based around Belichick and Brady, the cheaters, right? So now that they're both not there, I don't have the same disdain. I don't have anything against Vrabel. He seems like an all right dude. I got no problem with Drake May whatsoever. So kind of the same thing where I really don't care who wins this thing, but Stidham was there when those guys were all there, and they couldn't figure out how to make him work. If he comes back and beats them with the Broncos and ends up in the Super Bowl with Denver and takes out the former team, man, please, I would absolutely love that, Austin Herdini.
Yeah, I want to see it. I want to see Denver win. I want to see both home teams win. I think the Rams are going to beat the Seahawks, but I want to see the Seattle win. But yeah, it's been a great playoffs this year so far. Even with the heartbreaking loss to the Packers, it's still been very enjoyable playoffs. And I'm just looking forward to two more good games. I mean, we got spreads of 4.5 and 2.5. That kind of tells you that these games are still kind of toss-ups. So we're looking forward to a good environment to watch the games.
So where do we go once football is done, obviously, and you play the last game? Where then does all the money tend to lean to? Like once baseball starts and we're into the end of March, but you also have the NBA still going on. You got the NHL going on. That's when I'm really looking forward to follow the money, because then I want to see like, where does the money start going? I would assume the money isn't spent as much non-football season at the sports book, but where does it tend to lean? Does it lean baseball once baseball starts or what?
Yeah, basketball and like NBA and even college basketball. Got March Madness right around the corner.
Oh yeah,
but, yeah. It's we're a basketball city here. I mean, our bettors love basketball, and yeah, once football season's done, you'll see NBA and college basketball be our top two most bet sports. After that, you'll see NHL, and you'll also see soccer. We still get a good amount of soccer bets, whether it's Champions League, Europa League, Premier League. We got the World Cup coming this summer. I mean, that's going to be very good money in. So yeah, it's soccer is one of our top 5 sports as well.
I didn't see that. That's awesome. That's good stuff.
Even Australian Open tennis right now, we're getting some good action on that. That's late night. So if you're one of those bettors that's in here late and just looking for something to bet late at night or early in the morning, come on in because we got Australian Open to bet.
I'd have to have a couple cocktails in me, too, to bet Australian Open tennis. Austin Herdini, Potawatomi Sportsbook manager. Follow the money on the guest hotline powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. Thank you so much, Austin. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too.
What story did Sparky miss talking about today on Wisconsin Sports Daily? Don't you worry. Sparky's got you covered now. Don't miss Milwaukee Admirals hockey this season. Don't just buy tickets. Invest in memories at MilwaukeeAdmirals.com.
Man, I am still getting text messages. People all mad at me right now about that whole John Kuhn thing. Oh, it's refreshing. He tells it like it is. You know what, Sparky? Mason's another guy that absolutely just tells it like it is. And again, refreshing. JB in the 920. Kuhn talks real. That's why I'm loyal. All right, people. Okay, man. I'm good with it. Be loyal to John Kuhn. God bless you. That's good. I want most people possible listening to Inside Wisconsin Sports with Trevor Thomas and Josh Albrecht, listening to 9 to Noon with John Kuhn and Ronnie Metcalf, listening to the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Thunder Nellis, listening to this show. Be loyal to all of us. That would be wonderful. What did we miss? We're running out of time here, but I will tell you this. If you have not gone on social media, Dabo Sweeney has like an 8-minute clip right now of a press conference. Pete Golding, the head coach and now at Ole Miss, who replaced Lane Kiffin, got promoted or whatever else, apparently texting one of his dudes in class going, hey, I know you signed your under contract, but what's your buyout? I'm interested in getting you over here to Ole Miss. Then Dabo having his guy call the GM at Ole Miss and saying, if you don't knock it off, we're going to report you. And the GM pretty much saying, hey, can't control Pete. I don't know what you want me to do about it. It's going to get ugly. That dude just got that job and does not care.
Well, if it's going to get ugly for just him, it's going to get ugly for the rest of the NCAA too if this becomes a bigger issue than what it is right now.
No doubt about it. Hey, the big game's almost here, and there's no better way to cash in during America's biggest sporting event than Prize Picks, where it always feels good to be right. And since the big game is right around the corner, that also means it's your last chance to get into the football action before next season. So close the season out right with Prize Picks by getting $50 instantly in lineups when you play your first $5. All you're doing is using that promo code SPARKY, SPARKY. It is daily fantasy, people. It's more or less on the daily stat projections at Prize Picks. They got football. They got basketball. They got hockey. They got all the ones that you could possibly want. Plus, Prize Picks now has early payouts as well, and they have max discounts. Sam Darnold max discount for this weekend, more than a half a passing yard. You can add that to your lineup. You only have to get 2 right to have a 2-player lineup. So do that now. 2, all you got to do, more than a half a passing yard. Download the Prize Picks app today. Use code SPARKY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, it's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for details. Wisconsin Sports Wrap-Up is next. Have a good weekend. Toodles!